everybody, and welcome along to Super Sunday. We are here at the Nürburgring for the Nordschleife. Down in the pit lane, Patrick Simon and Emily Miller will be trawling for us to get the information we need from the pit lane. It is a little bit foggy this morning, and once again, it will be Peter Snowden and me, John Heindorf. We have another 3-hour race to come. It was super tactical yesterday. If you haven't caught up with it, it's all up on the archive already. But before that, and in a first in the 50th running of the Total Energy ADAC Nürburgring 24 hours, we are going to have what is called a top qualifying. Effectively a shootout, cars going out at intervals on the track to get a bit of clear space. And it's not just the top 30 as it started, or the top 40. It is going to be the whole field. Now, we started yesterday with 91. We're down a couple of cars. Peter, a couple of notable cars as well, which were involved together yesterday.
Super. Yeah, unfortunately, two Audis coming together, the 15 and 22 entries. 15 being the Phoenix car, and 22, of course, being the team car collection. They actually came together on the track, and neither fared well, should we say. The 15 is out completely for the weekend now. I think the 22 may make a reappearance. It did get itself back to the pits. The 15 certainly didn't, so great shame to see two such front-running cars going out at all, let alone together.
I'm sure there'll be some more issues as well for one or two of the teams. We'll find out about those as we go on through the morning. The format you will have seen before, with the cars lining up on, well, actually, you see, I say that, and maybe they can't. Because if they have that many cars, they'll have to start them from the pit lane. Because normally with only the top 40, they get them out before they come back around, and you've got 40 cars, but at different parts of the track. But if you're talking about 80 or 90, will you be able to have the separation? And the question for me is, who goes first and who goes last? You've got to put the faster cars out first, surely.
Sure, I have to, yes. Yeah, just closing speeds to catch up on where they've just got to be done. Start from the pit lane, as you say.
So that is around about 10 minutes away. Yesterday, the BMW M4 GT3s reigned supreme. About a third of the field. Went out this morning in warm-up. It will surprise none of you to know that the BMWs of Schubert and Rover Racing. Rover Racing, with the 98 car, Schubert with the number 20, they were quickest with a best time of 1:8:12.718. It's still a wee bit foggy at the moment. The third position was the number 6 Team Bilstein Mercedes. That's the minty fresh car that we were calling it yesterday, the kelp green and white, to quote the Monterey Bay football team colours, because it is very much like that. And then the Audi of Team Car Collection, Patrick Niederhauser doing the driving again this morning. The number 4 Team Get Speed Mercedes, that was Gilles Gounon. Then Scherer, then Get Speed, the second car, then the second Rover Racing car, the 99. Then Nick Tandy getting some laps this morning, which he didn't get yesterday because he was at Spa, of course, in the Corvette for KCMG in the Porsche. They fared very badly yesterday after an incident with the second driver. Side-by-side contact took off, well, pretty much all of the right side of that car. But an 8:16 for Tandy this morning. Outside the top 10, the KTM Crossbows were 15th and 16th. Another car that I didn't see this morning on the timing. Oh, there it is. Felipe Fernandez Laser did go out in the 706 Glickenhaus, the 004C. They had some issues yesterday with gearbox selection. They thought it might have been an electrical issue. They changed the paddle shift steering wheel, didn't sort it out, and Richard Westbrook went out again in that car, and it was still a bit iffy. So that's clearly been worked on this morning. We'll talk about strategy for the race later on, but this is something that you don't normally get. A chance for a clear lap on the Nürburgring Nordschleife. If you're on the front row of a race, then obviously you do. If you're at the front of a grid, part of the grid, because they do split the grid, and we'll have a double grid split start later today. But there'll be some drivers here who have not done this before, particularly the guys down in the lower part of the grid. Pit lane barely populated this morning. A couple of the Caymans out, just parked up. The Nexon tyre 396 towards the end of pit lane. That is the it's one of the privately entered teams. The 396. Sorry, no, it's not. It's the Alsner Automotive Adrenaline car. That's the purple and white Nexon tyre car 258.
Willkommen, liebe Zuschauer, zu dem Motorsport-Spektakel schlechthin.
Zuschauermagnet, guckt euch die Atmosphäre an.
Sensationelle Stimmung in der Eifel. Die Fans sehen wir hier, das Fahrerlager ist voll.
Also wenn du hier nicht aufgeregt bist, dann hast du irgendwas versäumt.
Und lassen wir uns freuen auf 24 Stunden Motorsport vom Allerfeinsten.
Das beste, das tollste Rennen hier in der Eifel mit den besten Fans der Welt. Startgruppe 1, die Veranstaltung läuft!
Ich krieg die Pimpernellen und ihr ärgert euch, wenn ihr nicht angereist seid.
Schau dir diese Bilder an, Jörg. Die hell erleuchtete Grand Prix-Strecke, das Fahrerlager.
Rock and roll!
Die Action, die da passiert, sind die wahnsinnig.
Da regnet's! Schau dir das mal an. Also das ist jetzt mit Slicks nicht zu befahren, was wir da sehen.
Es überschlagen sich wieder einmal die Ereignisse. Wieder einmal wird das 24-Stunden-Rennen am Nürburgring zu einer Mischung zwischen Himmel und Hölle.
Berührung! Berührung! Und beide drehen sich!
Was für ein Finale. Die Sieger sind im Ziel. Überbordende Freude an der Box.
So a little bit of fog still here at the Nürburgring as the KTM crossbows are out on the circuit as well. Peter Snowden is alongside us. 6, 8 and 7 was the laps that they did yesterday down at Adrenaline. They are getting ready to go out. And we're about now 5 minutes away. 5 minutes away from getting the first cars out onto the track, Peter. As a driver, you're in the car already. And what are you thinking about at the moment? Presumably not wanting to talk to somebody who's poking a microphone through the safety net.
It's all part of it, I'm afraid. Yeah, exactly. You just, in some ways, you should be nice and calm now. All the work's done, necessarily the team can do. It's the pressure time. It's down to you now. Everything else is that. Starting orders, by the way, we've got three groups, John. They do start from the grid, 10-second intervals. Interesting, though, you've got top qualifying Group 1, which is VT2, V6, V5 and V4 group,
right, yeah.
done. The biggest group, and I'm going to run through all these because they've got a few in the class, but we don't mention enough of the other classes. Group 2 is TCR, SP3T, 40, 8T, SP7, SP10, Cup X, Cup 2, Cup 3, Cup S, M240i, and AT. And then starting Group 1 is SP9 and SPX. Interestingly, the two groups, the fastest start first in Groups 3 and 2, and when it's Group 1, it's the slowest start first.
Right. Okay. And which way? Do they go 1, 2, and 3, or do they do 3, 2, and 1?
3, 2, 1.
All right. Okay.
So the SP9s will be the final sort of headline of the show, if you like, but they start with their in reverse, or the slowest first to go in that group. So hopefully they won't be catching up with 10-second. There are 10-second intervals between each one. Right.
So you will get. There can be a little bit of jiggery and, if you will, pokery to get yourself a decent run. And you know, people will sometimes drop back. There's nothing to stop you overtaking the car ahead. You've got two opportunities. Not everybody will use all of them. So in the first group then, the first car, I think, will be the number 88 from Group 3. Then the 222, then the 323, that's the BMW that had its punctures yesterday. Then the 87, one of the young entered cars.
Yeah, the order they go off is set by the combined results of 1 and 2 yesterday.
Okay.
That's how the order is.
Ah, right, okay, I see. It's fastest through to slowest, actually, so I've got that the wrong way around. So it's a 396 that's going to start that. They've just listed it the other way around.
Keeping us on our toes, John.
Both of the Nexon tyre Cayman, the purple and white cars, are on the pit lane. 87 just been pushed out is another one of the, in fact that is the young OPC Astra, the black and yellow car, one of the earlier versions of the OPC Astra Coupe, front wheel drive 2-litre twin cam, of course, 16 valve. I would think that'd be quite fun round here. Some very bleary-eyed drivers this morning, Peter. It's a bit early.
It is. Drivers don't like getting up early. You don't have to. But then again, getting up early to drive around the Nordschleife, why wouldn't you? It's going to be... I'm not sure we're going to get a delayed start or not. There was rumours of it a bit earlier on, but it is a bit foggy still on that pit straight. It depends on how far it is around. Of course, the rest of the course, that's the issue. But we will get action fairly soon.
I would think it'll be more about out on the Nürburgring Nordschleife and whether the marshals can see post to post. That's always the thing that our race director friends tell us. So the 396, according to my list, should be going out first. Now what we haven't got is a driver for that. That's the Adrenaline Motorsport Team Olsner car. So it could be Lutz Rühl, Christian Bühlersbach, Andreas Shetler, or Alexander Müller. All Germans. And in that V6 Porsche S981, which won its class yesterday, against various 911s and other things. So that should be the first car out. Then it should be the 330, another Adrenaline car. That's why they've got both of their cars on the pit apron at the moment. That's Caitlin Wood, Niels Steinberg and Moni Irma. Take your pick from those. Oh, actually, that's not the car, sorry. That would be the 331. That's Daniel Zils, Oscar Sandberg, Sindre Setsas, another name that will be well known to fans of virtual racing, and Philip Leisen, the 330, then 397, Sebastian Rings, Lucas Picard, Jakesh Perdiz, and Alan Pierre from Luxembourg, in a privately entered Porsche 911, again in the V6 category. So that's your top three that we'll see going out in a couple of moments' time. There are only a dozen or so in the third group, And I presume they'll have to open the gaps up as we get further through. Yeah, Group 2's got many more cars. So you said fastest to slowest in the first, or is it slowest to fastest?
No, slowest to fastest first. Right. In the groups 3 and 2, which go 3, 2, 1, reverse order.
Yeah.
Fastest in the groups 3 and 2, fastest in group 1 at the end.
Well, they're going to be able, because this is such a small group, as the PA fires into life here this morning, to be able to pull these cars, and they're sending them out of the pits, and they're sending them round to the grid. So they are going to do the start from the grid area. So they get a chance to warm up some tyres. And what I need to be able to tell you is who's in which car, which I can't quite do at the moment because they haven't tripped a transponder to tell me that. At RSL_studio, and the hashtag is RSLN24Q. Get in touch with us. Oh, nerves will be building up a bit now. Now, these are the drivers, Peter, who will not have had this kind of opportunity before. If you get out in the front of a group in tourist lap, maybe, but you're always looking over your shoulder. And particularly with these cars, it should be, as you said, it should be the faster cars at the front. They shouldn't have to worry about what's behind them. And you just never get that on the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
Exactly so, and that's the big feature of this, and one of the biggest appeals, we should have mentioned it, didn't we, yesterday. You don't get a chance in race conditions or race weekends to have a go around the Nordschleife on your own, uninhibited. This time they have, so but no pressure, of course. Like, they haven't got it right, they've got one shot, so it's a bit like sort of top 10 on their own, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Race director keeping in touch with all of the marshals around the circuit, and that in itself is logistically very impressive. When you consider it is a 25.378 kilometre circuit, so just over 15 miles, and the rises and falls, the topography, the geography in between race control in the pit lane building here where we are, and all the way out to the furthest reaches at the circuit, with the furthest part way away, somewhere over by Versiphen, maybe Bergwerk. Versiphen, you drop right down in Exmühle and Breitscheid, you drop right down into the valley at in the town there, and I think that might be the lowest part of the circuit. The rise and falls here are mighty. Getting radio signals over there, always been challenging. The big teams for the 24 will put out repeaters around the circuit and feed them, but essential equipment now is carrying a mobile phone, and it never ceases to amaze me that in the NLS, the Nürburgring Langstrecke Series, which we cover here on RSL, thanks to our partnership with the Nürburgring TV team, that we managed to get great on-board pictures from effectively mobile phone links all the way around the circuit, on board from cars.
That's how technology has advanced, hasn't it? It's just, we think we first had mobile phones and had a text message, and that was it. Phone call and text message, that's all it did. Now it's sending us, use link to send us pictures, video, live.
Pictures,
exactly, and moving pictures
from the other side of the world.
You made me sound really old there, John, thanks.
Moving pictures.
Never catch on.
Walter Horning is our race director, saying to Patrick on the grid that there's not too much problem around the circuit. It's more like low cloud than fog, and as such, at ground level, the visibility is actually really quite good. From some of our higher cameras, it looks pretty bad, but that's because they're looking down through the fog. But we've got full visibility down the whole of the front straight. Now, we are a wee bit late here, I think, getting underway as the cars are getting into line, ready to go.
I think it's because it was slightly delayed earlier, and there was also a car they needed to recover. I think it was the 252 need to be brought back to the paddock, so I think that's all it is.
Hardy spectators in the grandstands,
both of them,
this morning, and out early. 252, by the way, if it is one of your favourites, was the K. Kramer Racing, the Andreas Gabler and Henning Kramer car. That's Andreas Gabler is from Atlanta in the US, comes over to compete in that Cayman 718 GT4 Club Sport. And that car then will keep, let's just remind ourselves of that, jot that one down. And 252. One or two little scratches and crinkles in the cars. The 224 is one of the BMWs that's in this group, ready to go out. And that is the Zorg Rennsport, unusual for them in a fairly sensible set of colours, a bland set of colours, just plain white with a red stripe on it. Hans-Joachim Thies, Leon Köhler and Martin Rump. And that's Leon in the car at the moment. That 330i. That is a rear drive VT2 car. Different classes for rear and front drives in VT2. And that 224 will go out fourth. That's a paddle shift car, so still has the street car gear selector.
I just noticed that on the dashboard. Absolutely, as you say, out of street car. That's exactly what it is.
Street stock. And this is the joy, isn't it, of the Nürburgring, even up to their biggest race here with the Total Energies ADAC 24-hour race. We're still missing a few cars. This is a small group, but they are a tiny little bit late. The track has been declared clear.
A wheel being brought out to one of the cars on the grid. Yeah, absolutely. So this is the car 22. Need the other number. 227. It's like one of the Caymans to me.
They're going out fifth.
Changing the right rear.
I wonder if it's not seated properly. Or that's another one of the Zorg Rennsport cars, Peter.
Or maybe just a puncture. Maybe it's got a slow punch, something on it.
Not new tyres, are they?
No.
Just pressuring them up on that Cayman S. That was up against the Adrenaline Cayman S yesterday in V6. So a little bit of opportunity for these teams who we don't normally get to see and talk about that much, Peter, because it's only normally I think it started at the top 30, it's now the top 40 in qualifying. They're just talking that up on the rear end. Again, a very stock looking interior. The addition of what looked to be either a brake bias or a gear selector display. Also some additional lights in the front grille of that S. That's a 987 Cayman S sitting in behind its teammate. Still waiting for cars. I haven't seen the 396 yet, which should be right at the front of the running. Oh, there it is. No, that is there. 396 is the Porsche Cayman S 981. That's the purple and white car. Behind that should be the 330. That is... There is it? Can't see. They were both on the team apron, but that doesn't look like another Cayman sitting in behind the purple and white car. The BMW is definitely sitting there. 30 seconds then. Well, there's the BMW. So 396 is there, the 330 is not. Oh, hang on a minute. That is the 330. That is the BMW 330. Of course it is. It's the G20. I was looking for another Cayman there because they brought two out onto the pit lane. So that is another team Adrenaline car. So Oscar Sandberg off in the BMW, the black and orange car. He will get the wave off, and there he goes. The bright tangerine wheels. Leon Kohler is next for BMW number 224. The Zorg Rennsport car, off he goes. Next will be 227. Rasmus, was that Rasmus Helmich? I think Heinrich it was who went out. Yes, it was. 444 is Daniel Korn. That's another one of the Caymans. These are all adrenaline cars, aren't they? Going out now. That's the Schnitzelarm Racing 244. Xavier Lamadrid, very fetching 228 is next up. Flat 6 engine bursting into life for another Zorg Rennsport car. The GT tyres sponsored 223 Golf Mark 7. Tobias Young is next up in the Opel Astra number 87. Was running right at the front of their class, even though that's quite an old car now. Ben Lyons in the 323, looking absolutely immaculate after its right front puncture yesterday when that car dropped way down. Another F30 328i, the 222. That one for another GT tyre motorsport by WS Racing. Fabian Pironi behind the wheel of that one. And finally, oh, hang on a minute, what's happened here? Another Opel Astra, Tim Roberts is on the grid. Now, what's the car that's out of position?
221.
Well, I don't think that's in this group. It's been flagged away, but that car was not in this group. So
it's a GT tyre Cayman.
Another one of the GT type by WS cars. Very interesting. I don't think that car was meant to be in this group. However, adrenaline then, and the Porsche Cayman 981 off and running, and right at the back, the V6 machine, V6 class machine, and the driver from, two drivers there from New Zealand actually, one called Dalton and one called Woodford, and they don't have their first names on the entry list. James Brickell from the UK, Rick Harwood in the UK, is the other driver. 3-letter identifier DAL for that GT racing car. Not in the black and gold, but in the red, white and blue GT tyres. So just about to go through the Schumacher S's, the number 88. It's one of the front wheel drive VT2 cars. And getting the opportunity to sample the Nürburgring in a few moments with nobody around you. Number 88 being driven by Tim Roberts from Bonn. Looks fairly murky on the Grand Prix track, but as Walter Hornung, our race director, was saying, it's actually a lot better at ground level. I'm surprised that they haven't got more lighting on these cars, although I suppose then if you do hit fog, it tends to bounce back on you.
That can be a curse rather than a blessing.
Yeah. And
they've got no other cars in sight, so this is a walk in the park, John. It's easy. You saw what I did there.
I'm not sure, to be honest, because sometimes it's better to have somebody to aim at. And sort of 10-15 seconds up the road might not be able to get a bead on them. But it's lovely conditions on the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Still a little bit of low cloud. I'll be interested to see what it's like when we get up to the higher parts of the circuit going further round. At RSL_studio, if you want to get in touch with us, we'd love to hear from you.
It's a very interesting thought, that, actually, John, because if you've raised a very good point I hadn't even thought about there. If you're used to doing this series, no matter how many events you've done, but let's say you've done a handful of them, you are absolutely used to being out on track at all times with other people around you. You don't know any different.
Yeah.
So you're right. You get into a group, you get into a line of cars, 1, 2, 3, or you follow somebody. You have pointers, you have references. Then all of a sudden you've got to do it on your own. It's probably a little bit out of your comfort zone.
Let's have a listen to Anti-Birdie with
it's going to be good fun. You know,
Patrick.
Free track, so yeah, I'm going to enjoy it.
You're going to enjoy. I mean, if you see the Hyundai lineup here for this 24 race coming up in 3 weeks' time, there are 2 different kind of cars, 2 different models. Just talk us a bit through why 2 different cars competing in the same class from Hyundai.
Well, the other one, Elantra, is the newer model, but i30, the previous model, is still racing actively in Europe, so we want to have them both on the grid.
Any expectations about the qualifying today? What is the target? I mean, to go for 2 quick laps against your teammate, against the second car?
To be honest, the plan is to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, that helps a lot, staying out of trouble. I mean, yesterday it was quite tricky. We had some slightly rain in the beginning, and then in the end there was Wehrseifel and Bergwerk a bit tricky. But on a front-wheel driven car, it's not that critical compared to a GT3 car with a rear-wheel driven engine?
Well, when you lose the grip, it's critical always, but it was a good preparation for the 24 hours. We had all conditions and dark, so yesterday was good.
And today, maybe even better. Have fun for those 2 laps, and we will see later what's coming out of this.
Thank you.
Zurück zu euch.
8:30 and the 8:31. John Calvin's name's been added to the 8:31. Didn't see him on the list yesterday. Mark Bessing and Manuel Vauch in the 8:30. Bessing was really quick yesterday. Question that I just saw for a moment from Right Turn Lover. There we are. Thanks, RTL. Is the grid preset based on any of this weekend's results? I.e. somebody already qualifying for final N24, or is this just for huge kicks? It's a bit of both. It's practice, and you can never get enough laps, can you? Around the Nürburgring Nordschleife. But there are opportunities to qualify into for manufacturer points today, of course, and that potentially as well could get you into the top 40, pre-qualified into the top 40 shootout for those at the front of the field in a couple of weekends' time. What there'll be is a list produced by ADAC when we're back here for race week, and that will give us the idea of who has still yet to get into that top 40 shootout for the main race, which we'll have for you. Extended coverage during race week, including the practice sessions, plus the qualifying and the top 40 shootout, then of course the whole race live for you in sound and vision with the World Feed TV and the streaming video as well, all carrying our audio this year, all brought back together. And with a bit of luck and a fair wind, we'll do a special midweek motorsport from the Nürburgring Nordschleife on that week, on the Wednesday, to start our coverage. Getting the top cars coming back around. Waiting to see some times coming through. So the Adrenaline Motorsport of Andreas Shetler, the Cayman S, heading down the Dottinger Höhe, and he was started off as the quickest, and the only sector that he hasn't aced yet was sector 6. There are 9 sectors for timing around here. He's in the 9th one now, which is the short run to the line. Now, this was from a standing start, of course, as he comes in. So, effectively, this is a warm-up lap, Peter, as he comes across the line here.
They get this and then 2 laps, don't they?
Yeah.
So it's a fair old crack, not just one runner. It's obviously a warm-up lap to acclimatise. So even with 10-second intervals, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some cars. They must catch each other at some point.
I think they'll stretch those intervals for the faster cars.
Yeah.
When we get into Group 1, which will be the third group we see. So these are the cars all seeded on their qualifying sessions. So effectively that was the warm-up, and now they head out onto the circuit. Ian McCarthy says his brain fog is clearing. Have a lovely Sunday. Hello, Marcel Duch, who was taking some cracking photographs up at Spa over the week. Family day today. Says, I hope the coffee machine doesn't get a red flag. We'll be fine. Hello to Tubbs and the rest of the Sacred Coffee team. Once again, keeping us topped up with fuel in that respect. Matt Hunter, hello Matt. Even in sim racing, I do prefer to have someone to aim at. Solo qualifying, always a bit as a psychological gamble. If I'm chasing somebody down, at least it feels as though I'm faster. Experienced drivers would rather have a clear track, but if you've got someone to aim at, Peter, then you've got a visual representation of whether you're catching them or not. Because what you don't know is how good or bad they are, and you can actually copy their mistakes if you're not careful.
I was going to say that's the danger of falling into the trap of it's all well and good if they're doing the right thing, but if you're confident enough, you should be doing your own thing. And it's I get the logic, but you end up following the car in front, not doing your own thing.
And there is a difference between driving in qualifying and racing. I do like to have somebody to aim at when I'm racing, and given my pace, it's very seldom that I'm at the front of anything. So that is quite fun. I never seem to get enough time nobody gets enough time in a car, but jumping in and out of different cars at different tracks, it's often a bit better. But qualifying, getting that balance right between risk and reward, bad enough on a short circuit, but going round here, 2:28 pushing on. That is the Team Sorg Rennsport BMW. And
just past the Golf, didn't it? Through Tiergarten.
I think he's passed 2 cars on his warm-up lap, if I'm not mistaken. That's the Xavi Lamadrid, Monegasque licensed driver, at least. Karel Fitch from Switzerland, and Fabrice Reicher will be in that car. And by the way, the Kiwi in the GT Tyre Porsche Cayman number 221 is Grant Dalton, and it's Grant Wolford as well. Thanks to, not sure whether it's Tim or JP in the producer's seat this morning. Live in sound and vision. Good to have your company via radio-show.co.uk, RS1. That's the 221. Grant Dalton heads out on the Grand Prix circuit. That was the car I wasn't expecting to see, to be honest.
It's the 221 car.
Yeah.
It was, just found out, it's an omission. It should have been in this group, and it was an omission from the actual grid print.
Right.
Therefore, that's why it was to one side and went last at the end.
Right, got you. Well done. So now we'll start to see some new splits. The number 396, that Adrenaline Motorsport car.
An interesting little addition as well, just for notes of, we said about one flying lap and then, one warm-up lap and then 2 flying laps. Just to add it into the rules and complications, I do like reading a bit of rules. If you pit in your warm-up lap, you go to Parc Fermé, you're out.
Correct.
That's it, done. if you pit on your 2 laps, you can then go out again.
Yeah.
Obviously not the last one, but you can rejoin. So, yeah, you've got to get it absolutely right.
Andreas Shetler in the Adrenaline Motorsport Cayman S, once again lighting up our timing screens. He was the first car away. He had the 330 VT2 rear drive Adrenaline car in behind him. That was the Oscar Sandberg driven car. The Young Racing Astra OPC, the number 87 car, out on track at the moment.
And these are the cars where its teammates had problems yesterday, didn't it?
Correct.
The 88 and 89, but as you pointed out when it went off the grid there, it's one of the oldest cars here, and funnily enough, it's one of the most reliable. Kept out of troubles, keep going round. There it is. Don't curse at Snowden. Shut up. Tobias
Young listed in 2 of the 3 of those cars, the 88 and the 89, which we saw yesterday. The 89 with CEO of Alfa Romeo, Jean-Philippe Imperato, and Francois Valles in that car. And they're slightly, well, the 88 car is in VT2, but the SP3T is the Opel Astra Cup of the number 89. That's the turbocharged car in a different category. Duncan Ray asking about the regulations for drivers that want to race. Are there a series of licenses from simulator learning before you can enter? There are now, Duncan. Yeah, thanks for that on our RSL_studio, hashtag RSLN24Q. You have to get your permit, and to get your permit, you've got to go and do some rookie orientation, some lead and follows, and you have to take part in you have to do a certain amount of laps in a race. Well, the only races around here, other than the 24, which you can't get into straight away, are the NLS, the Nürburgring Langstrecke Series, which is why there's always 2 or 3 before the Nürburgring, so that new drivers do have the opportunity. Now, there are different grades of licenses depending on what cars you want to drive. You can get your basic license, shall we say, fairly easily without having to do too much driving. You've got to do, if you want to drive one of the GT3, the SP9 cars, I think you've got to do 18 laps in race conditions, which you can just about do. I mean, yesterday we did, in 3 hours, we did 6, 8, that's 14. We did 21 laps. In a 4-hour race, you'll add another 7 to that, so about 28 laps. Well, that means if you're splitting that between 2 drivers, you've probably got to do 2 races, 2 4-hour races. And that's for the quicker cars as well, of course. For the smaller cars, it's restricted by engine horsepower. And for quite a long time, the Aston Martin, snow you like this, the Aston Martin Performance Centre on Gottlieb Daimlerstrasse, which is just to driver's left of the Dottinger Hurt, they had an early V8 Vantage that was tuned down, and it was the old green car, Kermit. So it was Kermit the Permit, because that was what you had to use to go out there to get your permit verified.
We had a low powered one of those very early on as well.
Was it missing a cylinder?
It was actually called an N24 when it first came out.
Yeah, that's right.
That? Named after this because of that car.
Well, and those are the
4.3 versions. Then they moved it to a GT4 with a 4.7 in it. But the very early cars were called N24s.
Well, Graham Humphreys,
I remember,
doyen of Group C, was working with Aston then and consulting, and that first car, Kermit, which finished 24th overall the first time it raced here, was literally built on the line. Yeah. It was on the line, and instead of having, oh yes, we're going to have the Bordeaux red leather inside, it's roll cage seat, and it was a build sheet on that car.
Absolutely, a bit of architecture. It was very much Graham Humphrey's baby at the time. Then,
genius.
Of course,
and that was the start of GT4.
Well, it was what we know. Of course, then exactly. I don't think it was ever meant to be quite that. It was just let's put the safety equipment required for a race car into our road car on the production line, as you say, and let's see what it will do. And it was like, oh, and I think if anything, the result called them out a bit.
Did?
In terms of nobody expected to go out with failure in mind. Obviously, you don't do that, but it did so well. Did not win its class.
Yeah, won its class at 24th overall.
Yeah.
As I say. Now that's going back a bit. That's going back, as I say, that was
2005.
Was it 5? Was it that
Yeah.
early? Wow. And Dr. Ulrich Betz, of course, was top man then at Aston Martin, CEO, and along with David King, head of engineering and subsequently head of Aston Martin Racing when it was brought back in-house 3 or 4 years ago, and all of the Q projects and the 171 and all of that kind of thing. David, big fan of the Nürburgring and the N24. Tells me he'll be there this year. Didn't tell me in what capacity. He's not with Aston Martin anymore. He's moved on to pastures new. But he'll be there in some capacity, and I wouldn't rule out him being back there with some kind of racing project in the not too distant future. I owe him and Uli's successor, Andy Palmer, huge debt of thanks for allowing me to be the balance of performance in the GT4 car in 2017 in a 24-hour race at Kota. That was a GT8, of course, that became the road car. That was very much, again, a road car with a cage in it. So we're starting to see some times now coming in, and quite a big gap between Andreas Shetler at the front of the field for Adrenaline Motorsport in the 396 and 9:39. The 224 has gone through in second place on the timing, and that's Leon Kohler for Team Zorg Rennsport, but that's a different category, VT2 rear drive. 9:43, 5 seconds ahead of Oscar Sandberg in the VT2 rear drive BMW, the G20 for Adrenaline, who has pitted. So Oscar's only done one lap. He's crossed the line, round the Grand Prix circuit and back in to the pit lane using the cut through rather than going back on. So Oscar seems to think he's done enough. V6, second position at the moment for 227. The Team Zorg Rennsport car, and Rasmus Hemlich in the Porsche Cayman S with a 9:58. And teammates in third in the Cayman S 228 is Xavi Lamadrid, and he is on, oh wow, a 1/10 of a second different between those Team Zorg Rennsport cars. So that was pretty close. Going out for another crack at it is Hemlich.
Slight correction, the N24 actually came out in 2006. It's been developed in 2005.
Yeah.
So I remember it was actually 2006 they did the Nürburgring. You forget also that one of the drivers was Dr. Ulrich Betz.
Yeah, I know. A massive proponent of this race.
We overlooked that very easily. Talk about putting your money where your mouth is. It's absolutely amazing he went out there and did that.
And one of the more bizarre stories to come out of Dr. Betz, who was head of Aston Martin, CEO of Aston Martin at the time, being here, was that whilst driving one of the iterations of the Vantage, as you know, Peter, some of our listeners and viewers may not, that you can often have 6 or 7 cars sharing one pit garage, and it so happened that the Aston Martin was sharing with the 2 Lexus RCFs, the fantastic machines, and the RC, what were they? Not the RCFs, that's the latest one. The V10, the big V10 sports car. And Akio Toyoda, who's head of Toyota, was racing one of those. And Uli Betz and he got together, and what became of that in an effort to get their Aston's numbers down was, of course, the Aston Martin Signet. And that came from a meeting in the pit garages here from two CEOs of one of, well, arguably the biggest manufacturer in the world,
exactly.
and one of the smallest.
Yeah.
And their shared love of endurance racing, particularly here at the Nürburgring.
Can you imagine how that conversation started, though?
Yeah.
Why don't you? We're here. We're CEOs of our own companies, as you say. Toyota and Aston Martin, big names, yeah. Driving cars.
Pulls apart in terms of.
Why don't we take your smallest car?
Yeah.
And call it an Aston Martin? Yeah. Can you imagine how that started?
Yeah.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that conversation.
What you really need, Dr. Bates, is to take our Toyota Aygo and rebrand it as an Aston Martin, and that would get you CO2 numbers down.
Yeah, because the little IQ wasn't a little tiny thing.
Yeah, IQ. Sorry, yes, not even an Aygo. Yeah.
But have you seen, of course, now that there's a guy that races one of the Balcons, Gleb Stefanov, has taken an IQ or a Signet, given it back to the factory and asked them to reverse engineer it. It now has a full 4.7 V8 Vantage in it, everything in it. Good mate of mine, David Hornsey, has driven it up the Goodwood Festival Hill at the Festival of Speed in the UK. It's there on YouTube, metallic green thing, on prop, all the wheels and whatever. I think the prop shaft is something less than an inch long, apparently.
Yeah.
It's that tiny. But they've reverse engineered and put a full Vantage V8 into a Signet. We don't think it quite meets the emission requirements, John, but what a fun car.
David King and I, and somebody mocked it up, did an April Fool for that with mid-engined. It was mid-engined, that one. Because when I worked for RML, the late and very much missed David Leslie was the man who drove our Nissan Micra with a 2-litre touring car engine in the back of it, and I went out with him on the shakedown of that, and that was an experience.
I was going to say, just absorb what you've just said. I went out with him on the shakedown. David Leslie.
Yeah, well, he was our, whilst I was working there, he was effectively our works manager as well, as a very tidy racing car driver. And I took pictures of him racing at Le Mans in '89 in an Aston, would it be? I've got some black and white pictures of him somewhere. Was it the Jaguar for him that year? I have to look them out now. And that car subsequently got a 350 engine in the back of it, and of course that led to all kinds of weird and wonderful projects with Michael Malik now at the head of the company. They've just actually produced the GT4, new Lotus GT4 racing car, but they do all the road going conversions for Vulcan, for Aston Martin, for those people who want them. They did for Nissan, they did 2 Nissan Dukes with the full drivetrain and twin turbocharged engines from the GTRs. They did a fairly cooking version with only 480 horsepower, and then they did the full 560.
Only 480?
Yeah, I drove one of those. It was a lot of fun. It was sideways a lot. And that was just meant to be an engineering exercise. But we had one as a demonstrator and safety car at the Dubai 24 Hours. And off the back of that, they had to build about another 10 or 12 and sold them.
It reminds me of the story of when Colin Chapman at Lotus gave Jim Clark a car for the weekend, or for Christmas holidays, 1960-61, issued him a car to drive back to Scotland in. And it was a Ford Anglia, if you're familiar with those little Z-back Anglia of that period.
105E.
Correct. And Clark apparently wasn't too impressed. And Chapman said, just trust me, and just off you go with it, and gave it to him. Of course, driving from where he was all the way up to Scotland, he had to refuel it. And at some point, he was thinking, this is a little bit quicker than he was expecting. So at some filling station, he opened the bonnet, had a look, and there was the first iteration of the Lotus twin cam engine in this Anglia.
Yeah.
Chapman hadn't told him and just given it to world champion elect and say, just drive that and see what he did, knowing full well he'd come back and report what an amazing little car it was.
LFA was the Lexus I was looking for. The RCF is the current one that is raced. Very underrated car and sounded fantastic. Another quick lap then from the number 396, and the best time that we've seen so far has come down to a 9:36.760 for the Team Zorgs Rennsport. And well done then to Andreas Shetler. Here comes Leon Köhler to the end of the lap. He's already over that time, but he's not in the same category. Oscar Sandberg has already pitted. He's ahead of him. So is he going to improve? Xavi Lamadrid has got a purple sector in the middle of the track in the Cayman S number 228.
And Sandberg in the 330 Adrenaline Motorsport 330 BMW in the pit. That's their session over now because of what the how
he pitted
exactly.
He pitted at the end of his first. He only did one lap. 10:01, so not an improvement for Leon Köhler. But we have got, of these cars out there, we've got 5 of them under 10 minutes, which on a combined lap, think about how much time you are on the Grand Prix circuit. So a combined lap of under 10 minutes. He's not hanging around here in some of these relatively street stock looking and sounding cars. I do think the Cayman is just such a beautifully balanced car.
I'm going to put it on the line here. I've always thought it was a grossly underrated car.
What is?
It's a fantastic piece of kit.
In some ways, as a checkered flag comes out for a couple of Caymans coming through, including one of the GT cars and the Adrenaline Motorsport team as well, who do improve. 10 minutes exactly, 0.347. That's going to be very annoying. Where did I lose the 0.3 in the 444? You want to have. Now I'm not sure which of the Korns were in there, whether it was Tobias Ulrich or Daniel. I think it was Tobias, wasn't it? Oh, it's Daniel. It's Daniel Korn, excuse me. He's going to be thoroughly annoyed with himself that he didn't find 0.3 of a second to get a sub 10-minute lap. In fact, his last lap has been given as a 9:57, so that was a little bit slow. So he has got that 10 minutes 0.3. And he's taken 0.3 nearly away from that to be the quickest of the V5 cars we've seen so far. And he becomes the 6th car to go under 10 minutes. Waiting for Ben Lyons to come down in the 325i. This is the 323 car. It's one of the last ones out. And his first lap was a 10:24. He's on the Dottinger Höhe now. I don't think he's going to beat his 10:24. We did have yellow flags and a slow zone. That's on the Grand Prix circuit to get people back into the grid. Through he comes. BMW's coming in. Also Ulrich Schmidt in the GT VW Golf Mark 7 and Fabian Peroni in the F30 328. Let's wait for those guys to come across the line. Here comes the Golf into the final chicane. Don't mess it up now. Can really touring car that chicane. Very flat top curbs there, and I'm surprised not to see them doing that on this qualifying lap. Just coming up to 10 o'clock, and was that an improvement for the Golf? 10:29.870. Yes, it was. Second in the front wheel drive class, still the Opel Astra number 87, the old car, which pitted some time ago. Fabian Peroni improves as well, and waiting to see Grant Dalton come through in the Porsche Cayman. Waiting for the next groups to come out. Everybody except the Zorg Rennsport 224 of the driver you can hear in the background having the German interview at the moment, improved on their second lap. That is the Porsche Super Cup driver of Leon Köhler. So he didn't improve. He did a 9.43 in his first lap and a 10.01, so maybe a slight problem there. One of Walter Lechner's driver in the Porsche Super Cup. But everybody else doing their fast lap on the first round around. Well, I say that, of course, but we did have some people pull in to the pit lane. Andreas Shetler enjoyed himself and was the fastest of that category. 9.36, 9.5 minutes for the combined track leader.
I'm going to say that he's beaming there, isn't he? Oh, clearly, very happy driver interview going on. Andreas Shetler there, and unsurprisingly, so you say, he's at the top of the timesheet. So why wouldn't he be? He's done a great job so far.
Take a picture of. You talked about using your phone earlier on. Take a picture of that one, Andreas.
Yeah,
that one goes in the frame in the office. Top time. Car's being put into Parc Fermé for the time being. They'll be given back to the teams later. So let's confirm then. Andreas Shetler, the quickest with a 9.36 and best of the V6 classes. VT2, Leon Kohler, didn't improve on his second lap in the 2.24 Team Sorg Rennsport BMW, but his best of the rear drive cars. In V4, that was the Lions car, wasn't it, that was the best of that, and the VT2 front was the old Opel Astra front-wheel drive car, the number 87. So now you've got the idea of this. We've got two more groups, and the groups get quite a lot larger from this point onwards. See if I can find the right piece of, I was going to say the right piece of paper now, but
this is the biggest grid to go out, I think, in the biggest group almost.
So this is Group 2.
Yep.
And you reckon this is fastest through to slowest, don't you?
Still the same as the previous group, yeah. It's the next one that changes order to the final, so SP9s.
So if this is right, then the first car we see should be the 127, which is the K Kramer Racing Uge and Co KG. Karsten Kramer, Christopher Bruck and Maury Krantz. I'm guessing Maury Krantz will do the qualifying here, but I may be wrong. It's the 127 car. The 126, which is sitting in the pit lane at the moment, is the Krohn Aviation car, which has got the one of the longest pairings and most raced pairings ever, I would have thought. Tracy Krohn and Nicholas Jonsson. Nicholas now making his home in just outside Atlanta, Georgia, in Buford. Tracy Krohn, of course, is from Houston, Texas, oilman. Saw him in, well, race up all the way up to World Championship level and at Le Mans, as he has done down through the years. Now, are they in this category then? 126, I think they might be.
I was trying to find them because, interesting enough, John, as you said, the first car to go out is the 127. Second car to go out, according to my sheet, would be 125.
That's Huber Motorsport, yeah.
But we were looking at the 126. And at the moment, I'm just struggling to find that it's in the group, but that might just be me.
So the 126 Huber car's got Thomas Kaliner, Hans Wehrmann, Stefan Aust and Christian Bollrath. I think it might be Christian who does the, maybe Stefan in that, we'll see. If you're following along on timing, we will add these cars into the 13 that we've seen so far. Oh yeah, Tracy Krohn is there, and Nicholas Jonsson. There they are, fifth off. They'll go after.
Ah yes, got it.
After the 161. That's the Teichmann Racing KTM Crossbow. That's the Tim Santler, Florian Wolf and Laura Kreiheimer. Laura will do that, won't she? I would think so. She knows the car very, very well.
Just in front of that should be the number 80 Pro Sport Aston, shouldn't it?
Yes, first of the Astons that we've seen today. That's one of the GT4 cars in SP8T. Maxime and Guillaume Dumarie, Jean Glorieux and Simon Balcon, the Belgian. So three Belgians and a German there. Jean Glorieux, very French sounding name, but has a German license, lives in one of those areas that has been swapping backwards and forwards down through the years. Saint-Martin's. You see it round Spa in particular on the way down to the Nürburgring. There's a interesting mix of French and German place names. So they are rolling the cars out now. We've got some TCRs going out as well here. So a couple of the Hyundais moving. So that'll be the Mark Besseng car, I think, the 830 and the 831. Yeah, and Anti-Burry probably to do the qualifying for the 830. Not sure. Manuel Lauk and Mark Besseng, isn't it, in the 830? They'll be 7th and 9th. Also out there, the number 82, which will be Alexander Mies, Christoph Breuer, Mike David Ottman and Miklas Born. Miklas to do the qualifying there, I'm guessing. That is Anti-Burry in the I-30N. The shades of blue on his helmet. So he will be qualifying the 830. I love the idea of a TCR car around here. Loads of downforce, really good through the twisty bits, front wheel drive, factory built race car for 130,000, 150,000 euros.
Yeah, I mean, what's not to like?
Yeah.
And you can race in so many series. Obviously you can do all sorts here, but you can do other stuff in it. Global Series, World, European, where you could probably race almost every weekend in Europe in one of those during the season.
I knew, up until recently, I don't know if this is still there, but certainly a couple of seasons ago, there were a group of businessmen from, I think it was Denmark, somewhere in Scandinavia, who had a Cupra. Actually, it was an older Seat TCR car. So they had a TCR car that they kept either right here at the Nürburgring or very close to it, in a container, in a locked container. They paid a guy to fettle it for them, and for each N24 race, each of the VLN races,
yeah.
they would fly in on Friday, do a bit of practice on Friday, warm up on Saturday, race the car on Saturday, and fly back home on Sunday. And the car was so reliable that basically, as long as it didn't bend it, it would get polished down, it would get a spanner check, a new set of tyres for the next time, all the fluids checked, locked back up again, and then, you know, on the Wednesday and the Thursday before the race, that little man would turn up, fettle it, roll it out, make sure it was in the pit, get everything going. And they did that for, it must have been 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer. Well, if you've split the cost between the three of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's a GT4 BMW that races in the UK. That's one of those Team Brazil cars. Mm-hmm. And its first race meeting, which was a club meeting, it had an engine problem on the test day, actually. And the race was a qualifying race on the same day, on the Saturday. Test day had an issue. So what did they do? They went and bought an engine for an M3 on eBay overnight, shoehorned it in, swapped it out, because it's all the ECUs and bits that make it all different. Put it in, went out, put it on pole, and won the race the next day. Just got literally got an engine off eBay, went racing. It's the way to do it.
So second group, the middle group, if you will, going out at RSL_studio, hashtag RSLN24Q. Aston coming round. This is that number 80, the Pro Sport Racing. Maxime and Guillaume Dumarie, Jean Clariot, Simon Balcon. Can't see who that is. The unmistakable rumble of the V8 twin turbo. A little bit quieter than they used to be with the turbos on, but still a glorious sound. Using a worked on version of the AMG V8. I always remember talking to the engine guys at Aston for both road and the race cars, and being surprised at how laid back AMG were about them retuning the engine. 12 Celsius out there at the moment, so the temperature's coming up. This is similar to what we saw towards the end of the race yesterday, which finished in full darkness. The top of Group 2 about to come out of the pits. Our pit exit is now red for top qualifying Group 2. First time we've done this with every single competitor being allowed to run the top qualifying or the shootout style qualifying. Lining up on driver's left. And with a bit of luck, Patrick will run down some of these drivers and we'll get to see them before they go out. Good morning to Brittany Tandy over in Bedfordshire and family Tandy. Been a busy weekend for Nick. WEC yesterday and out early in qualifying for KCMG today. I wonder if Nick might even qualify today just to get him a couple of extra laps in the car, given that he did the warm-up this morning. We'll see that in a little while.
Ja, mega. Ich bin jetzt im 15. Jahr dann auch dabei dieses Jahr. Die letzten Jahre war es leider immer vom Wetter her wirklich viel Pech gehabt. Ich hoffe für alle, dass wir
this group,
schöne Tage haben und dass wir
flick through, see who else is in here. Yes, it is. So we have got 36 cars. The last car to go out here will be the young motorsport car, the 89, I think. Which is the Jean-Philippe Imperator and Francois Valles car. Well, they've done this very well. This group have organised themselves much better than the first group, and we're ready to get going pretty quickly. Just having a quick look down to see if there's anybody else. There's one of the Door Racing. There's the Door Racing 240, which won its class yesterday. Who else is in there? See if there's any other big drivers. The KTM Crossbow ready to go.
Wie sehr wirst du das Auto auch strapazieren oder wirst du die Runde genießen und entspannt in Anführungszeichen fahren?
Also wir sind hauptsächlich hier um Kilometer und Runden auf dem GTX zusammen. Das gesamte Team ist bis jetzt nicht viel mit dem Auto gefahren. Wir wollen mehr Erfahrung für 24er sammeln. Von daher gehe ich das entspannt an. Gucken, was am Ende bei rauskommt.
And that's Tim. That's not Laura actually in that car. That's Tim. Sandler in that car with the unique clamshell. Basically slides up and forwards and reveals the tubed full roll cage. So Tim Sandler taking qualifying duties there for that car.
It's quite a complex mechanism, that that canopy on that, isn't it? But it seems to work very well. It does always catch my eye when you see it opens. You see it just lifts, slides forward and goes up. It's quite a... I just imagine the working out of all those cantilevers. It's quite clever. If it's not quite aligned, I'm sure it's a bit tricky to not get into place.
1 minute to the first car. The team's been asked to leave the grid. Antti Burri. Now, Antti, early on, might fancy his chances against the Aston ahead of him because he'll be very quick through the early part of the lap and he'll get his front tyres up to temperature much quicker than the Aston will get its tyres up. But he'll be a little bit down on top speed. Might find that he drops back a little bit on this first warm-up lap. So the 127 then as we mentioned, about to go off first. This is the Christopher Brück driven 992 Cup car. There's another good way to go racing. Get yourself a Cup car, whatever vintage. And off goes the K. Kramer racing machine. So I got that one wrong as well. I thought Maury Krantz might qualify that, but it's Chris Brück. Stefan Aust, well, there you go. You could have picked any of the guys from that car. Tim Sandler in the 161 Teichmann Racing Crossbow. And Simon Balcon will be in the Pro Sport dark green. That's great. So it's almost a matte green, that as well, isn't it? Then the Krohn Racing car will be no one other than Niklas Jonsson. As that Porsche, the Krohn Green aviation car. Phil Doe for the Doe Racing Aston Martin GT4. 69 car, a little bit more white on that machine. Then it's Antti Burri in the 830. Sorry, it's Manuel Lauk in the 830. Antti Burri's behind the next Aston Martin Vantage. So 3 Astons in this group for Sarah Rigby to get excited about. Number 82, Mike David Ortmann. And then Antti Burri in the i30N Hyundai. Similar platform, different body shape to the Elantra that Manuel Lauk has got. Ersin Yukasak in the red, white and blue, number 79 BMW. Then it will be, that's the JJ Motorsport car. Then Celia Martin in the 220 BMW for GT Tyre. Carl Frederick Kolb in the 255, the red, white and black Porsche of K. Kramer Racing. That's one of the GT4 Club Sports, the newer ones. 254 out next. And that was, I think, Leonard Irma that was going out there in the 911, the very light blue car. Evgeny Zelensky for the Aston. John Lee Shamboni for the 259. And still they come. Martin Meenan, another 718 Cayman. Peter Elkman for a Golf TCR. That's an early Golf TCR before they got the bigger arches. Jean-Francois Bruno for 252. So plenty of Cup 3 cars out there. That's another K. Kramer Racing car. Fabio Grossa for the 353 G-Tech competition. BMW M2 871, last car on the starting lift, Adrenaline Motorsport. Jürgen Vordinger for the 250. That's another Cup 3 class car for W&S Motorsport. 244, interesting colour for the BMW from Schnitzelarm Racing. Marcus Sund, 251, W&S Motorsport. The Ford Mustang, which we mentioned yesterday with the zebra colours and the slight blurring around the edge. It's Ralph Cabra who'll take the 109 out. Now that car in the past has raced in alternative fuels. Yes, it's still racing in alternative fuel class AT. 256 Jordan Love going out in the all-white Cayman. That looks brand new, that car. For the car he started with Tony Ristis for Tim Mathol. That, I think, is the car that Peter Kate will be driving later on. Arjun Baini on the 261. It's another name that you'll know from motorsport. Franz Disvok for Team Mathol. Oh, is that the car? Finn Albig, 240. That's the BMW, of course. In the 240 BMW Cup cars that were designed for this. Another Adrenaline Motorsport car. Thomas Ardelt in another 240 Racing Cup car, the 241. Sven Erpen and Manuel Dormagen, his teammates. We've got a couple to go. Jan Boris Schmeing for the 258 team. That's another Cayman for K. Kramer Racing. And last but by no means least here is the number 163 KTM Crossbow. So we haven't got the Door racing car. So the 163 Teichmann car goes out. And then we were supposed to have had... the 89 had the crash yesterday, didn't it? The Jean-Philippe Imperato and Francois Valles car, the Young Motorsport, sorry, not the Door Motorsport car. So that car didn't make qualifying. Doesn't mean it can't go out in the race. They might still be working on it, Peter.
They are. I'm just trying. I knew the colour for that BMW. I think it's called Dakar Yellow.
Dakar Yellow.
Yeah. Don't know why it's important to mention that, but I just thought I'd do something in the background.
The very light yellow colour that they launched the M4s and the X4M competitions in is called Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
I know that because we've had one a couple of times when we were in the States. And the new GV60 that Genesis just launched out at Frankfurt Airport, actually, where there's a hotel where you can park your car outside your room. So all the journalists got into their rooms, and overnight their drive cars for the next day were loaded onto their balconies effectively. So they woke up with a full charged GV60, and that was exactly the same colour.
There you go.
But from a different manufacturer. So they do like the Larry colours for launch. So
31 cars in this group.
Right.
That should keep us busy, John. We did say it was the biggest group with the most categories in here. So everything from Cup 2s, Cup X, SP8Ts, TCRs, SP10s, Cup 3, Cup 5.
I think we should have had 36 cars in this, but as you rightly say, there's a few missing. Only 31 have started a lap. So we've lost a few from the start list that was published overnight, and even from the 32 that you were expecting, Peter, we've lost that number 89 Young Astra. That was the car, if I remember rightly, that went into the wall at Galgenkopf.
Yeah, correct.
In the last third or so of the race. As I say, there's every opportunity for them to be still working on that car. Tim Sandler in the KTM, running with the Audi engine amidships. That's a GT2 car, isn't it, the 161?
Yeah, and we lost I'm not sure you mentioned this, John, in case you didn't, the 832 Cupra TCR. Riebel and Schmidt had that accident yesterday during the race. That's why that didn't take part. Yeah. That's one of our missing cars, shall we say.
Right, that's it. A GTX KTM crossbow. A variety of engine opportunities for KTMs. All Audi based. 4 and 5 cylinder. I think they do the 1800 and the 2.5 litre 5 cylinder for the GT2 car, which produces a ridiculous amount of horsepower. Carbon fibre monocoque, carbon fibre clamshell, as people were saying, nice piece of engineering. Widened body on the GT2 version of that car.
And quite an extraordinary thing. I mean, KTM, motocross bikes really is what they're famous for. 2 wheels as opposed to 4 wheels, and they came out with that crossbow some years ago.
Yeah.
Which we all thought was kind of wacky and out there, and a bit left field. And I was very lucky to do a little bit of testing with that with Phil Keane in the UK, and we both said at the time, this company, this ethos, this philosophy, it's going to go somewhere. You could tell that it was going to. Didn't
Phil try and break a lap record around here?
He did. KTM? Yes, he did in that crossbow.
Right.
Yeah.
In the original open top crossbow.
Correct. Yeah.
There's still a series for those, for the open top cars. We had them as a support on a Creventic event a little while ago, and I loved the idea of it. There's various versions of that. Sequential shift box on that, if I remember as well.
Yes.
Here comes the Tim Sandler 161. Dark green colour really suits that car. That's a much wider body on the GTX. Very light, of course, the construction. And described as the ultimate track weapon by KTM. And a fully homologated roll cage in that, carbon fibre seat as standard, and that does use the 2.5 litre 5-cylinder Quattro TFSI engine. Lehman Motor Technic do all of the tuning on that, and that is power shift as well. Six piston brakes, yeah, 1,048 kilos, that's what I was looking for. So, and with 530 horsepower.
I was just doing exactly the same. They say the legendary Audi 5-cylinder engine. Again, Audi did something slightly different there, didn't we? We were talking yesterday about a straight six and there's something about the smoothness of it. You'd had a Jaguar of that, and we had 4 cylinders and straight sixes were pretty well what we had many years ago in our youth and our teenage. And Audi came along with this thing and went, let's do a 5-cylinder. And everybody was, what do you mean? It's got to be a 2, a 6, or a V12, or
absolutely nothing like the sound of a tortured, overblown, wastegate, whistling Audi straight 5 in a Quattro in Dolby Forest or Kielder Forest, cracking a cold.
But we forget how much they moved the boundaries of things there, because, as we said, it was. You've just described it there, and you're passionate with it, John. But it's a 5-cylinder. It's turbocharged. It's 4-wheel drive. It was a whole new world. Now that's all electronically done, whatever, it's quite mechanical this. But you know, Michel Mouton or somebody in an Audi Quattro on song, so wastegate popping. Just
before they got to the S2s, the short wheelbase cars or anything, an original UR Quattro is still a thing of beauty for me. And up in the northeast of England, everybody was still rallying Mark II, sometimes Mark I Escorts, various bits and pieces, Talbot Avengers and Sunbeams, some Lotus Sunbeams if you were pretty well off.
I guess you have a bit bigger budget, you can have a Lotus Sunbeam.
And then all of a sudden, a chap called Darrell Wiedner turned up, and an American called John Buffum. Darrell Wiedner was clear light windows back in the day, and he had an X-Works Audi Quattro. And John Buffum was learning the British forests prior to going into World Championship. And they turned up in 2 Quattros, and of course they blew everything away.
2 Quattros, just
yeah, they had one each, and it was.
You must have thought a spaceship had landed.
Yeah. Well, we'd seen them in the World Championship rallies, but we hadn't seen them in
the flesh.
In the flesh, and we hadn't seen them at that level of regional, national rallying, and just extraordinary. And of course, the other thing that they pioneered was the lamp pods, because that was the other thing. They had that particular array of lights, which was the 2 and 1, and then they went to the 4 across the top, and that was all new to us. But one of those, you knew what was coming. Put it that way, because there was nothing that sounded like it.
Exactly, heard it long before you saw it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, we're getting cars coming back now as we're waxing lyrical about our motorsport past, and we've got 3 cars pretty close together, and it's 2 of the Porsches, the Kramer Racing 127, which started things off, and the Huber Motorsport 125 in behind it with Stefan Aust behind the wheel. They start their first flying lap. There's a BMW in there as well, which is not sure where that's come from. Which one was that? Did you catch the number of that as it went through?
I didn't, sorry no, John. I missed that one. Just looking at those other 2 BMWs, just the yellow ones we were talking about, weaving down the dotting Hover, trying to break the toe from one another on the warm-up lap, effectively. I know it's about to start their timed lap, but
just a reminder, we are in the second of the top qualifying, as it's called, which is cars set off at 10 to 15 second intervals, and warm-up lap and 2 flying laps around the Nordschleife. Yeah, those two, the 244 and the 245 BMWs in team order there. 244 being, both of those being the Schnitzelarm Racing machines. 244, they were quite a long way down, weren't they, when they started off? That is, the 244 is driven
20th, yeah.
Yeah. By Tim Neuser is the 245, and the 244. Oh no, Tim Neuser said the 244. Right, he swapped cars then.
Yeah.
And the 245 then, who's got in the other car?
Markovits.
Well, that's Marcel Markovits. That was the car that. Okay, so those two have swapped cars, I reckon, because I had Markovits in the 244. No, is he in the 244? No, they have the swapped cars.
Yeah.
So Markovits, Marcel Markovits and Tim Neuser have swapped cars for whatever reason from the entry list that I had. Tim Sandler at the top of one of many blind brows in the KTM. One thing you notice about the onboard in the KTM is how low down that car is. Really sitting on the ground, in that it's much more of a GT machine than a touring car based machine. And coming down to Brunchen now, with a car ahead of him, working the gearbox on the paddles. That offbeat 5-cylinder thrum behind him. I've got a 3-cylinder triple cylinder motorcycle, which is a bit like that. It's just sort of offbeat.
You've got too many toys, John.
They're not toys, they're essential business items.
I knew you defended. I didn't think it would be quite so instantaneous.
Actually, that Triumph that I've got, the old Thunderbird, the 85 Thunderbird, needs to be put back together, because I used to actually commute on that when I lived down in London, so it was very useful, but it doesn't get a lot of use now. Christopher Brook then in the number 127 Kramer Racing car that went off first, unsurprisingly setting fastest laps. So what did we have before? We were well in the 9s. This is going to be an 8. It's an 8:31.727 on his first flying lap. Now he's got the length of the Grand Prix Strecke to decide whether he peels back into the pit lane or continues. Tim Sandler.
That's an impressive time, actually, 8:31.
Yeah, very, very good. Remember, that's
straight out of the box, John. That's 8:31,
and that's a Carrera Cup car.
Exactly my point. Yeah. I'm just looking at that time and just absorb it, thinking, hang on, that's a very impressive time.
There's the second Cup car going through. That is the 127, and that's the K Kramer car with. Who did we put in that?
Brook.
127, that's right. So who came through second? The 125, sorry, that was what I was looking for. Stefan Aust, wasn't it?
Stefan Aust came through for the Huber, that's right.
9 seconds away.
Stefan Aust auf dem Auto, wie kam es dazu, dass jetzt das Qualifier fährt?
Aston Martin Vantage still to put its time in. There goes Nick Jonsson in another Cup car, 8:43.5. That'll put him third, listed as RPM Racing. Sandler goes through for the Cup X Teichmann Racing Cup. Tim clocks 8:46.8. 8:59 for Simon Balcon in the Aston Martin, and he's immediately eclipsed by the Dorr Motorsport number 69 car of Phil Dorr. So he's the best of the 8Ts at the moment. The GT4 cars about to come through as well for Pro Sport, with Mike David Ortman at the wheel. Wait for that car to come across the start-finish line. SP8T and SP10, slight differences. SP10 is the full GT4 class. 8:56.6 for the SP10 car. That's one of the Pro Speed machines, best in that class we've seen so far. Manuel Lauch for Hyundai and the team car. This is the Elantra, the fastback. Oh, just doesn't break 9 minutes. So that's something for Anti-Birdie to aim at in the I-30. Wastegate whistling in the Hyundai as it went through. Proper little rally car sound on that one. Anti-Birdie hasn't broken 9 minutes. Here he comes to the line. 9:09, so slower than his teammate by a full 7.5 seconds. Ersin Yukasan for BMW number 79 will be the next car across. Remember, they all get one more lap if they want, and that's the JJ Motorsport car, sharing with two Belgians, Recep Sadi and Hakan Sadi. There he goes, 9:14. Waiting for another Aston Martin now, aren't we? 81. Well, that's a decent time for Leonard Erm in the Porsche. He's just gone through in the Cup 3 car, the 254, in a 9:06, waiting for the Yevgen Sokolovsky. Sokolovsky then just finishing the lap now in that Pro Sport Aston 9:19. Puts him at the moment in 14th, third in SP10.
I'd have expected a bit more out of that, to be honest. It's early days.
Well, the best in that class is sub 9 minutes. So they're half a minute away.
I know it's third in class, but it's just, I was expecting a little bit more than 9:19 there. But
here's the 81. That's the 81 gone through. And into the pits for the Pro Sport Aston Martin leads SP10. So the number 82 team, and more specifically Mike David Altman, has thought to himself, yeah, don't need to put another lap on the tyres, don't need to do anything else. I'm very happy with my 8:56. Nearly 30 seconds ahead of the next in class. The team might have said to him, pull it in. Right. Waited for the next two cars to go through and said, yeah, call it a day. So
what else are you going to achieve apart from risk?
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah, there's not a lot of turnaround time here. So if you do have an accident, again, it's that risk versus reward thing, whereby if you bin it now, how much work can you get done?
And how much humble pie are you going to have to eat in the process?
Hello to Yoda's uncle. Have I missed anything? No. Top car still to come. Why you? He says the duvet had me by the throat and wasn't letting go. Oh yes, we've all heard that before. Meanwhile, I'll go back to that in a moment. The two Hyundai 830 and 831 are in. They're just taking the tyre pressures. Manuel Lauch and where did we put the other one? Anti-Birdie, wasn't it? So they'll not be going any quicker. The 66 has gone through. That was the TC R Golf, the MSC Emstal EV im ADAC. And who set that time in that car? That was Peter Elkbach. That's headed pit bound as well. All of the 31 are on, have set sector times. We're still waiting for about the last half a dozen. Mustang has gone through. That's the first. That's the first of the alternate fuel cars we've seen so far. That's the 109 car. 9:34. To be honest, anytime you're under 10 minutes around here, you're not hanging about, no matter what you are. When we get down into the low 8s, I'm very impressed with that GT3 Cup time from from the 127. That car has gone off for another lap as well, in the hands of Christopher Brück. It's a cup car now, 120, 130 for the 992. Is it that much?
Yeah, probably tops, I'd have thought, yes.
But you can't. Porsche for a while have been selling their racing cars on finance, haven't they? You get it on the Solutions programme, and then you trade it back after a couple or 3 seasons, because it does have a resale value like a road car would.
Yeah, of course it does.
That new 992 Cup car, loads more aero adjustment, particularly on the back wing. Double wishbone front suspension. Mind the road car, the GT3 road car's got that awesome piece of kit. Tim Sandler then coming through. The fast sweepers at the far side of the track, gets airborne. He's heading towards Brunchen again. Coming down the hill now. Oh, actually, he's beyond that. Coming down through the Stefan Beloff S's. Mention of Stefan Beloff, of course, around here. 6:13.11.
I know where you're going with this. I know exactly where you're going with this.
Lost him too soon. It's 40th anniversary today of the death of Gilles Villeneuve.
I know. Remember it well on the way to Brands Hatch for a meeting in Herd. It couldn't quite believe it. 992 GT3 Cup price, 225,000 euros.
Oh, it's a bit more.
A bit more than we thought.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, we're a bit off there, weren't we?
So
perhaps that's the price we wanted to pay, John, not the price it is.
What did you say? What?
225.
Take 40,000 off that, so it's 180 grand. Wow, that's gone up a lot. Great looking cars though. Nick Johnson's gone through for the Krone Aviation car, and an 8.12 at the last but one split. That's a 992 Cup car, so this is another Cup 2 spec car. He needs to be down in the 830s. He's not going to do that. He might go second though. Oh, he's going to be close. Needs to be. Oh, I think he's just gone over it. He's going to be third. He is third, but only by a second and a half. The Huber Motorsport, the Aust car, just beating him. Following him through was the 161. Did that improve for Taekwondo Racing? Yes, it did. 8:42.4, and just half a tenth away from the top three that we've seen so far in this group, which are all GT3 Cup cars. Here's the Aston. First of the Astons we see. That's the number 80. Doesn't break 9 minutes, so it's 8:59.1 last time around was the best. Got the very bright LEDs on in the front grille. Very good to have them that low down, by the way. Had that on the GT8. Worked really well. Waiting for Célia Martin in the number 220 BMW. That's the GT Tyre Motorsport by VS. SP8T third.
We've got a slow zone just at the moment on the Vidal chicane.
Well,
John,
that's because they're slowing everybody down to bring them back into the park.
Okay.
That's the bit where you cut back through.
My apologies, didn't want to cause any alarm. Sorry,
no, that's absolutely fine.
Didn't read the context, sorry. Yeah, there's an intervention vehicle out there at the moment. I'll just bring them all in.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly so. Bit of a gap here as we're waiting for the next gaggle of cars. Oh, bit of drafting going on behind Célia Martin. And I think that's Carl Fredrik Kolb right in behind Eric Yukasan in the BMW. I say that because I can't see the Porsche.
It really is drafting, isn't it?
He might actually be getting a proper tow. Has he got a bungee cord on there? Carl Fredrik waits till just before the kink to pull out and try and go the long way around. Kicks up a bit of dust from the right-hand side, but he's got through, and that will have gained him a few miles an hour there in the Cayman. So let's see how he does in that 2:55 car. He's third in Cup 3 at the moment. He's got a 9:08.2 to his name. Oh, he's going to beat that. He's going to absolutely muller that. 9:04.9. He's taken 3 seconds off that. Now, does that move him up in the 2:54? It does. It puts him in second, ahead of the Kramer Racing car.
Very thinking manoeuvre there.
Fabulous.
Because also there was another BMW in front of that once he'd got the job done down the left-hand kink, as you say, on the Dotting Howe, got the job done. He got to go around the long way, which he pulled off. But more to the point then, he had that toe. He could then tuck in behind another one on Tirgon and get a drag down the pit straight.
Double draft.
Double whammy.
Yeah, double
Great
drafting.
job done there.
Here's Yevgen Sokolovsky coming in the green and tangerine Aston. This is the number 81 car for Pro Sport Racing, and improves 9:13.8, but doesn't improve his position in SP10. Still fourth in SP10. So he did a 9:19 first time around, so he's taken 4 seconds off that. Still got a few cars to come through. Best of the Astons is still the Door Motorsport number 69. That's an 8T car. That's an 850.677 for that car. Coming to the line next will be Martin Meenen in the 260. Black Falcon improves to a 25, 9:25 that is, 3:05, 6th in Cup 3, which is for those Cayman GT4 cars. Peter Elkman in the Golf should be next. It's the number 66 MSC, and he moves to a 9:14.6, but stays third in TCR behind the two Works Hyundais, which I think I saw just coming back out the pits there. They scored us running again. Not sure how that works, whether they'll be able to go out and do an extra lap. Jürgen Wöhringer, just gone over 9 minutes in the 250. He's into the last part of the run now for the V&S Motorsport. He's had a decent run. 9:26 last time around, 7th in Cup 3, comes to the line and goes to 5th in Cup 3, a 9:24. 2 place and several seconds improvement there. Now, Guido Heinrich, BMW 871 next. That is the Adrenaline Motorsport M2 Club Sport in Cup 5. That again is the class for them. And he leads his class. I don't think we've seen any others yet. 9:39 there. Mustang comes through. 23rd of this group, 9:34 is how they stand at the moment. He'll be through in a moment. Fabio Grossa for the 253. Another one of the Porsches. Lots of Caymans out the Cup 3 cars. And across the line, Fabio under it. It's going to be 11 minutes. This is not a great time. 10:59 for that car. Arjun Maini, 9:46 for the Aston. That's 6th. Sorry, for the Mathol Cayman, that's 6th in Cup 3. No improvement for Arjun, so it's 9:24 will be his best time. KTM Crossport goes through in a 9:28.623, 23rd for Teichmann Racing, 2nd in Cup X, led by Tim Sandler in a 48.42.7, so big time difference there. Thomas Ardelt should be next through in the Adrenaline 240 Cup car, 4th in the class for that one, and stops the clock on a 43. No, it's moved up one position, and I reckon we've got a couple of cars still to come through. Marcus Zunz doesn't break 10 minutes in the 30th position car. He's done a 10 minutes 2 already, and he does a 10 minutes 2:790. That's his best time, and that will leave one car out on the circuit, that being the 258 Cup 3 car for K. Kramer Racing. Now listed on screen is Jan Boris Schamming, but I've got that car on the timing screen with a different driver. But we'll go with our TV colleagues. 10:04 is his best time, but he doesn't move him from 31st position. So I think we are, if money is no object, then it's a 992 Cup car at 220,000 euros. If we're racing on a bit more of a budget, then it's a TCR car. 8:31, Peter. 8:31 round the full track.
It's madness. You say Porsche's 1, 2 and 3 there, but and some decent pedalers in those cars as well. But completely through the reverse numbers as well. 127, 125, 126 for us, just to mix it up for us.
Yeah, that's. I'm sorry, that's untidy.
Exactly. Just trigger your OCD, won't it? Exactly.
Massively.
Exactly. 8:31. That's a very, very impressive time for a car of that category.
Yeah. In terms of...
We focus, as we say, so much on the GT3 cars, the SB9s, as they're called here, because it's just so easy to do, because they're the headline event. And we've said so many times, how much further down the field can you have some great fun in this? And as you've just quite rightly said, John, if you've got a budget of 225,000 euros, go and get yourself a GT3 Cup 2 Porsche 992. If not, a bit less, get a TCR car and still have a whale of a time.
I'm going to say now that we'll see GT3 cars that aren't as quick as that time from Christopher Brook.
Yes.
I'm going to write that. I can't do them all.
I was doing exactly the same.
8:31.727 for Christopher Brook in the. That was a 992 Cup car, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right. That's now written down. We saw them last year for the first time, these 992 Cup cars, introduced into the Visit Cayman Islands Porsche Carrera Cup North America. And in the test at Sebring, they were only a couple of seconds away from GT3 category cars. And they were told to be careful because there were no spare shells. And that was at Sebring. So that was a proper workout for them. And we've seen right through this second season, the guys at the front of the field putting times in that would have put them well up the grid in the GT3 category in the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. I think 9th. It would have qualified. The last race at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, the top Porsche qualifying time would have put it 9th in the GT field in WeatherTech.
But you've got to ask the question of Stefan Aust is no slouch in that Hubert Motorsport car. That's 9.1 seconds off Brook's time, and then
it's 3/4 of a, well, half, 3/4 of a second a mile, isn't it?
And the next one, which is a similar spec car, but from RPM Racing, so 3 GT3 Cup 992s from 3 different teams there in the top 3, but second and third are only separated by a second and a half. Second to first is 9.167 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
What are they doing different to get such a colossal gap there in class? I mean, 10 seconds.
Chris Brook is a decent driver.
But is he 10 seconds worth of a decent driver in the same car? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Porsche. KTM, Aston, Porsche, 2 Astons. Best of the TCRs down in 9th position. And that was Mama Lauk, wasn't it, in that one? Further down, the 2 cars that didn't start there. The Opel Astra Cup car, we mentioned, the 89. And the 252 K Kramer Racing car. Didn't the 252 go in the previous run? Maybe not. Right turn lover, clearly wanting to spend some money. How does a BMW M240i stack up in terms of budget? Quite well, I would have thought, because those cars have been around for a while. They extended the homologation. They were originally 235s, weren't they? And with a bit of clever reprogramming of the engine ECU, they moved them up to a 240, not by stroking the engine, but gave them a bit more power. That class was originally, Cup 5 was originally the 235 class, and they built, I think they built 20 of them, and it was that's 50 years of BMW M this year. It was the entry-level BMW M racing car. Now, whether RTL, you can still buy a new M240 race car, I'm not sure. But Peter is finding that out. Even he knows people. He knows people at BMW. He's a product expert.
I think expert's very kind. That's very kind. Very well sold, though. I like that. Thank you very much, sir.
Did you like that?
I did.
Super little car, quite a short wheelbase, can be a bit twisty. Good fun to get sideways, as with all BMWs, they've got very long steering arms, so you can get a lot of opposite lock onto them. And that's even before you start playing them about with them. If you are doing drifting, you tend to throw even longer steering arms on, so you can get more lock on to hold it sideways.
How about pre-owned?
Yeah, pre-loved,
but obviously fresh, ready to go racing.
Yeah,
60,000 sterling.
Right, okay. So we've got 3 different levels for those of you watching and listening for your Euro Millions jackpot this weekend. Because obviously
I think the 3 levels of commentary. Yours, platinum grade. Me, I've got my novice cross on still.
I think no, you've done more than 6 events. You're fine now. But
at what level of ability? That's the point. That's the point.
The clerk of the course hasn't complained. I think you're okay. That is a lot of performance for 60,000 euros. So what, 73,000 euros, 60,000 pounds. And that again, that's a factory built. That's an M built race car, specifically originally for this category. Was that a 235 or a 240?
That was a 240i.
Right, so that's had all of the upgrades done. It's resplendent in
so there were
sport colours.
100,000 euros when they came out for the 2019 season, when it became the 240i from BMW.
Right.
The official price was 100,000 euros. So 89,000 at the time then.
Yeah. Wow.
But that was a jump of £25,000 over the
235s.
The 235s, yeah.
I think you could upgrade the 235s, because although there was some bits and pieces of aero and there was a different interior from memory on the 240, the main difference...
Because the interior is really important on a race car.
It was a different seat, actually, and a different dash. But I think the ECU upgrade it was an electronic retune rather than spanners and grinding valves and stroking things retune for that, and it extended the homologation of those cars for a wee while. So buy one for 60.
No, you're absolutely right. The upgrade included optimised software, engine, end plates on the rear wings, different interior cabin. See, never argue with the knowledge. You see, I'm not even trying to catch him out here. I'm just trying to reinforce just how good it is, and it's you can't catch him out.
It's only because I remember when they came out and we were talking about, whether you could upgrade them or not. Ian McCarthy with a good point. Hashtag RSL N24Q. A lot of teams getting more TV time this morning than they get for the rest of the year combined. Good to see. I do like that as well. So look, so collective, we have got 3 levels of potential competition here. Your 60 grand car, your 120 grand car, and your nearly 200 grand car. And BMW, rear wheel drive, front engine, straight 6 turbo, very nice. You've got your front wheel drive 330 TCRs, take your pick of your manufacturer. However, go for one of the new Evo VAGs, much easier to look after. The Cupra and the new Evo Audi RS3. How about this for how well engineered they are, Peter? And you'll understand. The old cars, the anti-roll bar had to have a big kink in it to go around the suspension. So for the new car,
doesn't sound very engineered, does it?
Right. Well, but you know, the road cars. It happens on road cars, and it's based on a road car, and it's only the rear wheels on a front-wheel drive car are just there to keep the exhaust from dragging on the ground, as Martin Haven always says. So the new one, it goes right through the back of the car, so you can see it through the back window. And if you want to swap the anti-roll bar or if you want to change the setting of the anti-roll bar, you take the wheel off and you can do it pretty much as you're changing the wheel. If you want to take it out completely, it's one clip and the whole thing being straight slides straight out, and then you slide the thicker or the thinner one back in. Engineering par excellence.
Designed for racing.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And the cost of a new M4 GT3?
Lots.
$500,000.
$500,000. Yeah. Right. And then you've got to try and get one.
By the way, also, Kev, always read the small print. Starts.
Yes.
$530,000.
Yes. And then you've got to get one because they're...
Absolutely so.
Yeah. The M240i was replaced by the M2 Club Sport. So that's the current one now. So
you get more brake horsepower per dollar, though. It gets 590 brakes, so it's a dollar of a brake horsepower. It's not bad, is it? It's one way of looking at it.
Johannes, thank you for that. I'm still thinking 60 grand for a M240. I wonder if I could take me permit in a 240, or it might be too powerful. Right, let's get to the big lads at the front of the fields. The cars coming out of pit lane now are for Group 1, which is our third and final group of top qualifying. So this much more like what we've seen in the past. If I could only find there we are. I was going to say the right piece of paper, but it's the right piece of electronics. I try not to print stuff out nowadays, but I have many screens. So this one is the opposite way around. So this will go from back to front, correct?
Yes.
So first out, 31st in this group. So first out will be the Aychan Guven number 25 car. That's one of the Cup 3 Porsches from memory. The number 25. Let's check that. Chan driving with... that's interesting. He's been added to that car. That's the Joachim Tyson, Klaus Raeder and Nico Menzel car. That's not the car that we saw him in yesterday. Then it's the Nicky Katzberg 98 BMW. That's the car that he shares for Motorsport Competence Group AG. It's an M4 GT3. That's $500,000 worth. Nicky Katzberg, John Edwards, Sheldon von der Linde and Marco Wittmann. Then it is the number 72. We'll go off third. And that is the BMW Junior team that won yesterday. That's the Dan Hartmann, Max Hesse and Neil Verhagen car. Then it's the Conor de Felipe 99 BMW. Felipe Augusto Favres and Nick Yellerly. We didn't see Conor yesterday, so I wonder if he'll run today. Then the Klaus Bachler, Lars Kern, Alessio Picariello and Martin Ragginger Porsche, the 44 Falcon car. Then the Sami Matti Trogan 101 Audi. That is... Oh, Peter throwing his tablet around.
It's not my toys.
Sorry, not the Audi, that's the Valkenhorst car with Christian Krohns and Andy Soucek, taking time off playing for West Ham. Different Soucek. Then it'll be...
You actually got me for a minute there. I was like, hang on. No, okay, see what he's done there.
Then the number
very good. It's early Sunday.
I did once sit down to do a full football team with names of racing drivers. Because you've got Alonso, who plays for Chelsea, used to play for us. You've got Soucek. There's plenty of Bells and Schumachers and all of that, and trying to fit them into a team. Something to while away those long winter nights. So we've got these cars out. Let's see how they do line up then. But that's the way we think the top half dozen will go. It's exactly the same in terms of the format. The cars get released at intervals. But of course the cars will be a lot quicker. The time to beat is 8:31.7, set by the Porsche Cup car of Kay Kramer Racing and Christopher Brook. As these Group 1 cars are coming round. Now we have 31 cars again listed in this group. And Peter assures me that it'll be the fastest cars going first. Fastest cars going last.
Correct. Yes, you keep catching me out this morning.
Oh no, I see what they've done. All right, okay, I see what they've done. Right, so I take that back. So they've listed them in the opposite way as well.
Yeah.
So right, so first out is going to be the 100 Valkenhorst car. I wondered why yesterday's winner was going to be going out last, but right, that makes much more sense now. So Valkenhorst goes first, and that is the BMW M4 GT3 of Jörn Schmidstad, Jörg Breuer and Henry Valkenhorst. Then it will be the number 11. And we've got a couple of cars that we won't see, by the way, which Peter will remind us of in a moment. The number 11 is the Twin Bush by Equipe Vitesse. That's the Alea Earhart, Michael Heimerich, Pierre Kaffer and Arno Klassen car. Got to put Pierre in that, haven't you? That's one of the Pro-Am SP9s. So Valkenhorst at the front. And which driver is that in the car? Should have looked up earlier. I think it's probably Henry Valkenhorst in that car. Yes, it is. The black helmet. Get in. BMW M colours, 50th anniversary of BMW M. It's the featured mark at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. I say M this year, BMW M.
Which is why you can go down to Goodwood and drive a whole fleet of M BMWs. Including the insane M8 with over 625 horsepower. And you can just pay and go and drive it around there.
Round the track?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So they have sort of an experience centre there?
Retail performance, track experience, yeah. And you can go and drive three BMW M cars, ranging from a 135 through to they've got M4s, M3s. They used to have M2s, they've got rid of those now. So it's 135s. They'll actually start with a John Cooper Works Mini. 135s, M3, M4, M5 competition, which is 600 brake and weighs the size of a small planet, and then an M8 just to really.
So an M8's an SUV then, isn't it?
No, it's the coupe.
Oh, it's the coupe. Of course it is.
The big coupe. No.
Oh yes, Bradley likes the look of a 850 BMW. But he can't go taxiing in that like he can in his E-Class.
S-Class.
No, it's a actually it's
an S-Class. That one it's got. Current one.
No, it's a coupe. It's one of the CLSs.
CLS.
Yes, CLS. So it's on the E-Class platform. Very nice car, that. Always handy for doing weddings and funerals as well, earn them a bit of money. 4-door coupe that Mercedes pioneered. Just looking at the BMW 750 or 740i that was raced in South Africa, reading an article about that the other day, which I believe was only raced in South Africa. So it is Henry Valkenhorst, so Valkenhorst BMW, the number 100 that will get off first for our final 31 cars. Race director standing by with the green flag. One warm-up lap around the full Nordschleife. If you come in before that, you've got trouble. You won't be allowed to go on. You had to put Pierre Caffer in the Audi number 11, the twin Busch bike equipe. Simon Reicher in the 23. That's another one of the Audis for Lion Speed by Car Collection. That's a very nice car with the lion's head on the side. Charles Esplanade in CP Racing's AMG, first AMGs. It'll be Felipe Fernandez Laser in the Glickenhaus, hopefully without the gearbox issues it suffered yesterday, which cost it any decent finish. Sixdorf, Frederick Scharndorf in the number 28. It's the Dynamic Motorsport. Christian Engelhardt, Marvin Deanston, Adrian Delenier and that as well. It's Ferdinand Stuck in the GT2 crossbore, the 117. It'll be Valentin Hasklow for Aston Martin and the number 90. It's the first of the... Actually, there is only the one GT3 car, isn't there? The TF Sport.
Yeah,
that's the Charlie Eastwood car.
The rest of GT4s, yeah.
Jordan Pepper in the Lamborghini Huracan for Conrad. That's a sensible choice. Luca Sandro Trefs for the 55 AMG. And 55 is run by Landgraf Motorsport. Patrick Pilet in the 33 Falcon Porsche. Mathieu Jaminet. What was Matty in as he got away? Was that just changed? 24 Audi goes away. 24 Audi is the second of the Lion Speed car. That was Chris Meese. Then it was Schramm in the Audi. Frank Stippler goes in the number 5. Red, white, and blue car for Scherer Sport. Chris Haase for the 22. Second of the Haase car, that is Team Phoenix, of course. Reinhard Kofler for the 116, that's the bright tangerine KTM crossbow. Fabi Schiller for the Team Get Speed number 3 AMG in the BWT colours. Then it's going to be Ben Tuck for the 102, the Alpecin sponsored BMW. He shares that with Jörg Muller, Valkenhorst car. Hopefully it doesn't get too hairy for him on the way around. I'll get that one out of the way. Yannick Metzler for AMG number 34. Then our Minty Special with the kelp blue colour on it for Mercedes Team Bilstein. Nick Tandy is doing the qualifying. I thought he might. It's an extra 3 laps to get used to the car. He did practice this morning, warm up this morning. So Brittany and the family tuned in Bedfordshire. Then Luca Ludwig for the Ferrari number 26 octane car. Jesse Krohn, no relation to the Krohns that we saw earlier on, or the Krohn that we saw earlier on. That's number 20. Christian Kronjes in the 101 Valkenhorst car. It's a Yokohama machine. Another BMW, of course. Alessio Picariello for Porsche and for Falcon. It's the 44. Augusto Farfus, we're getting towards the quick boys who finished well yesterday. Augusto Farfus, 99 Rover BMW.
Second place yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah. Dan Harper for BMW 72. That was the winning car from yesterday, the shell-coloured car, the BMW Junior team. Sheldon von der Linde in the other Rover car, the Rover 98. And Nico Menzel is last off the line in the number 25 Porsche. Still, of course, the 991.2 there for Uber Motorsport. The 992 GT3 class car has been extensively testing over the last few weeks. Was at Spa a couple of weeks ago. It's been out in Italy as well. They've been doing some high-speed testing on that car. The guys at Porsche Motorsport say that will be done by the end of the summer. They'll finalise the homologation of that car, and their customers will have them early next year, early 2023, for the 992 version of the GT3 category car, at SP9, as it's known here.
I'm rubbing my hands with glee already at the prospect of that.
Well, seeing what the 992 Cup car can do, 831,
precisely.
Might know ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, it's a balance of performance category, so the FIA will, have to get amongst that. But we know how good Porsche are at producing racing cars. They've been shelling out 992 Cup cars, and the new GT4 Cayman Club Sport. I don't think there was very much off-season for them either last break just gone at the end of 21 into 22, or indeed particularly at the end of 20 into 21. Christmas was cancelled at Flacht and Weissach, where they were doing the builds of the cars. And they managed to produce enough cars over the winter of 20 to 21 for 5 series around the world in Carrera Cup. So that was Super Cup, Carrera Cup North America, Asia, Benelux and Deutschland, Germany, sorry. And pretty much everywhere else has got them this year. Up the road over the weekend up until yesterday, it was Benelux, Deutschland and France all racing in separate categories. Jaminet car was not on its grid position. I thought not. Thank you, Right Turn Lover, for spotting that. So for now, Mathieu Jaminet should have been out. So was that a technical problem? Did we lose? You said to me that you thought that we might have lost somebody this morning, Peter, in the warm-up. Well, I didn't think that was one of the top cars.
No, not in this category, no.
So, Jam, as he's affectionately known, should have been in a Porsche, and now all I've got to do is find which one it was. He was in the Julian Andlauer car, wasn't he, with Matty Campbell? Yes, he was. So that should have been the DBO Motorsport Porsche, the number 27. So that car, either not deciding not to take part in this, or very late on parade and didn't get out of the pit lane when it closed. So let's keep an eye up for something else to make a note of for when we come back for the race, Peter. It's the number 27. Well, we should remember that car today on the 40th anniversary of Gilles Villeneuve's death. So that'll be an easy number to remember. Right, here comes the Valkenhorst number 100 with Henry Valkenhorst at the wheel. Cross the line. Grand Prix circuit often catches a lot of people out because you think, well, it's not the Nürburgring and it's not the Nordschleife, so it should be pretty easy. But the first braking area into that downhill right-hander, very difficult indeed. Through the shortcut, short shift through what was normally turn 5. I think you take a couple off, And then again, you're going down the hill. That early part of the Grand Prix track is actually far more technical, Peter, than people sometimes give it credit for.
Oh, completely so. And it's, as you said, a lot of it is downhill. You don't realise that's what's catching you. You drop all the way down to the bottom of that and then back around again. So it's a climb back up, obviously the other side. Bound to be the case, but you just, with a lot of curves. So it's almost slower technical downhill, faster rights coming back up. Sorry. Faster corners coming up, right, and then up to the Nordschleife. Quite interesting. Again, and it's a good enough little circuit on its own. Oh, yeah. But we keep saying it's a little circuit because of the Nordschleife and what you're going to go on to next. Just slightly longer.
Can
apparently.
You imagine in the years way back in time when they used the whole circuit, the Gesamtstrecke, so the Südschleife as well, linked to the old Nordschleife. Some of it's still there. A lot of it, sadly, perished when the new Grand Prix track was built, particularly down towards the southern end. But there's still bits of it there. It's 36 kilometres around or something ridiculous like that.
I mean, the new track, as we still refer to it, that's 84 that opened, I think it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's nearly 40 years already. It's been with us.
Can you just stop that, please?
I know.
Immediately. Chris Haase is on a bit of a mission, so is Fabi Schiller. Frank Turlover says, do they have early lunch reservations? They've overtaken cars on the warm-up lap. That's allowed. Absolutely allowed. So they'll be starting their lap shortly. See the times coming in. Henry Valkenhorst then, 40.8 seconds round the first part of the Grand Prix track, but the times are getting quicker. Felipe Fernandez laser in the Glickenhaus, quickest in sector 2 for the moment, but then Schandorf goes quicker. Then it'll be Ferdi Stuck that goes through in the KTM crossboard. This is all on the Grand Prix circuit. Where's the TF Sport Aston? Not bad. Jordan Pepper is the first driver to go under 40 seconds for the first sector in the Conrad Lamborghini. Pierre Caffer must be very, very close indeed to Henry Valkenhorst out on the Nordschleife, because their sector times are coming in almost instantaneously. Then there's about 5 or 6 seconds before the Lion Speed car collection Audi goes through. Charles Putman has just put the fastest sector 3. That is on the Nürburgring, on the Nordschleife, excuse me. Fabi Schiller was very quick on his warm-up lap. He said he'd overtaken a couple of cars, had 3 top sectors in there. He's just gone across the line. Christopher Haase has gone through as well. 15th across the line, Haase, so he has made up some positions, as we thought. True Racing KTM just heading out through the Michael Schumacher S. Who should be next through? It should be the Valkenhorst number 1 or 2 coming to the line next. Then the Team Bilstein, then Nick Tandy in the Porsche. Oh, well, that was interesting, because the Schnitzelam car came through in front of the Team Bilstein 6, the minty fresh car. Yellow flag at Foxhole. Fuchsrue. Nick Tandy's gone through to start his lap. Here comes the Rover Racing BMW towards the end of the lap to start their flyer. That yellow flag is still out at the Fuchsrue, so that's not good. Particularly not good for everybody who's following through now, who hasn't reached it. Rover BMW, Rover Racing BMW going down. That's the 99 car to turn 1. What do you reckon then, Peter? Where's your money?
It's very, very hard not to put money on BMW. You've got to for this. No disrespect to anybody else, but if there's not a BMW in the top 3, I'll be amazed, and I'll be equally surprised if it's not on the top step. There you go, said it now. By the way, it's your money, not mine. That's why I'm so confident.
I'm sorry, this is like playing cricket in our backfield back in the days. You pay for your own China, mate. I'm sorry. 28 Porsche in problems at Fuchs-Through, the dynamic car. That's where the yellow flag is at the moment. So that was Freddie Schandorf in that car. Just picking that up from the tracker. They had started their flying lap.
Which car was that? 28?
28.
Yeah. The
should be
dynamic motorsport.
Correct.
Yeah. SP9. It is moving slowly though, so it's on the way back. It's up at Exmouler now. I think it's on its way back, but
yeah, track showing is clear now. It fits through it,
but it does appear to be travelling slowly.
This is a public service announcement for the Tandy household in the centre of Bedfordshire. It's all very well being in your pyjamas at this stage when your dad's out qualifying, but you do need to get dressed before the race starts, if you don't mind. Felix, Eva, this is the voice of the man on the radio and the telly telling you to get out of your gym jams and into your day clothes, please, before the race starts. Otherwise it'll be bad luck for Daddy, and he'll not be happy if he knows that you're still in your gym jams when he's going racing.
Public service now or trauma centre.
Two-way family favourites.
Exactly. This is the man from the television. This is the voice in your head.
I can see you, Felix, with your green top on there.
Right, I think you need to stop this one now, John. Yeah.
People think you can't see back through the television. It's not true.
Don't.
So, fast laps happening now. One of a potential two. Where is Nick Tandy? Answer, he's crossed the line 21st in line, and he's on the Nordschleife now. It's Luke Ludwig who's doing the times at the moment in the Ferrari. Is the prancing horse in that dark colour. Is it a dark horse for pole position here? 39.771, a 42 on the Grand Prix Strecker. There goes Henry Valkenhorst, 8.25.445. So merely 6 seconds quicker than that Cup car.
Yeah.
For an extra 300 grand.
Well,
there you go. There you go. Coming through second is Simon Reicher. And he falls into second place. No, he doesn't. He goes to... he is second. Kaffer's gone through. So that's more like it. Pierre Kaffer turning up the wick in the twin bush by Equipe Vitesse Audi. That's the number 11 car. How about an 8.18? Will we get down? Is it warm enough out there to get some heat in the tyres on the second lap and get down into lap record pace? Felipe Fernandez Larza goes through in a 15.0. That's decent. It's more like it. Good looking car, that Glickenhaus, and seemingly they've got rid of the issues from the gearbox yesterday. There's Jordan Pepper in the Lamborghini, goes to the top, 8.10.345 for Conrad. We thought that car had a quiet day yesterday. Snowy, he's a good peddler, is Jordan. Another underrated racing driver. Patrick Peely about to come through. He goes through in second. Jordan Pepper though, top of the shop at the moment.
Extraordinary time, 8:10 there. As we said yesterday, didn't we? Not only we've had a quiet day, but that car was on pole at NLS 1, I think, this year. But finishing in 10th, if I remember correctly, but just didn't quite deliver in the race. But it's got the pace, just not always the race pace.
Cars coming through now. 8:15s, these are all good. Stippy's coming through. Here's Haase next to come across. He was on the hurry up on his warm-up lap, passed at least a couple of cars. 11, 12, 12-2, 1.8 seconds away, but that's decent. That's very decent indeed. And Stippy, Frank Stippler, goes through in second. That's very impressive. So it's still Jordan Pepper,
Schiller now in third.
Stippler in second, Schiller third, Mies fourth. Lamborghini, Audi, Mercedes, Audi. Where are the BMWs? Well, we haven't seen them coming through yet. Here's the crossball into the pits for the Glickenhaus. 8:17, under 8:20 for that crossball. That's not hanging about. I'm just trying to find the qualifying lap record, which was, I'm pretty certain, was set in
first round of the series, the show, isn't it? 750.
Not on this configuration.
No, correct. No, NLS.
So you've got to find the one from the 24-hour race. You keep an eye. Oh, he's Tandy coming through.
Ferrari to the top of the times. 8:09, 4:42.
Now we're pushing.
From Luca Ludwig there. What a time.
He had a lot of early pace in that car. And
we keep saying it's a German series. Well, it's the Italians at the top now. Ferrari and Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Octane 126, Conrad Motorsport. 8:09 and 8:10.
That's a full second. They've gone on to another lap. Nick Tandy. Where's he gone through in 14th with an 8:15 6:02. And
so, can the BMWs respond, John? This is the big question. I'd be amazed if they can't. But those are cracking times right over the front there. Hey, I didn't think we'd see sub-10s, to be honest, just yet. So I think the first of our BMWs coming across the line now. Or will be any second, certainly into sight.
Dan Harper's on a good lap. He's got one quick sector. Von der Linde in Rover Racing BMW was decent as well. Sheldon von der Linde has gone through. Is seven. Okay, that's a bit of an anomaly. Here he comes. We were watching the wrong car. There's the 28 going slowly.
Dan Harper, 8:08, 8:41, straight to the top.
Yeah.
First flying lap for Dan Harper, the guy who put the junior team BMW into the lead yesterday in his stint.
Dynamic coming back after its incident at the Vauxhall, but staying well out of the way. And Dan Harper then down to an 8:08. And Van der Linde has gone through in a 9. So 8:08, 8:41, 8:09, 4:42, 8:09, 4:94. So 0.6 of a second between first and second, half a tenth between second and third. And in fact, no, scratch that. 0.001 of a second between second and third, because Nico Menzel for Huber in the Porsche number 98, Porsche number 25, it started last, has just gone through in an 8:09.457, and there's damage to the dynamic car. They've been very lucky there not to damage any radiators at the front of that car, but there's a puncture wound in the normally pristine dynamic front end of that car, and that was off at the Vauxhall. We think, yeah, it was the Vauxhall on that car, and no time given for that. So maybe that was on the warm-up lap, actually. I thought he'd actually done a time. So now reset, go again. Who's got the performance in their tyres? Open tyre formula 808.841. Remember. Peter Snowden and John Hindorf. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Jordan Pepper currently setting personal bests in sectors 1, 2 and 6 at the moment. Not really going to count sector 4. We think sector 4 is a slightly odd sector to have because it's less than, I think it's less than 700 metres, and it's only, they cover it in 10 seconds. So slightly odd sector to have, that one. Seems like they had a place with the rest.
Yes. Agreed. Very impressed with Pierre Caffer. He's dragged that car up, but then again he knows his way around here. But also, you've got to say, Luca Ludwig in that Ferrari, Christian Menzel, von der Linde. The Conrad car ends up with Jordan Pepper down in 6th position. He's barely a second and a half over, you know, the mileage we're talking about here, 15 miles. Quite ridiculous, really, when you think about it.
Well, he's on a flyer at the moment. We're just waiting to see him to complete sector 7. He's not lost time anywhere along the process here, but say 3 purple sectors already.
That Lamborghini in the livery that we've come to know and love down through the years. Almost Leighton House blue, isn't it, that Conrad colour?
Well, we've said this before, Bruce and I on NLS, that you call it Leighton House. I see it as a Vitaphone McLaren. Maserati.
Yeah, MC12.
MC12s, yes. Of course, we mentioned lap records being set earlier. Of course, they are not actually set, which is using it as a reference for a target time. You can't set a record until it's actual race, but it's still a matter of pride as well.
Yeah.
So the Conrad Lamborghini about to come and cross the line. Slight improvement up to 8:10 now. 8:10.1. But just didn't quite ace it in the last 3 sectors of 7, 8 and 9, John.
I think I can't
Moves
find...
up to 6 though.
I can't find anything quicker than Lawrence Vanto in the 991 GT3 at an 809.1. That was qualifying. So I reckon if that stands, that 808, I reckon that's a new qualifying record on this version of the track for Dan Harper. I've gone back through.
He won't mind that, will he?
Various bits of notes there. And to put that into context, yeah, that is the fastest on this. The VLN layout or the NLS layout is slightly different. So unless anybody can tell me different, I think the May 2018 qualifying from Lawrence Vanto is the quickest. Hello to Jess Westbrook, who's also tuned in. Now apparently it's spelling and SAT revision in the Westbrook household at the moment.
Yeah, it's SAT this week for those who've got year 6 children.
Yeah. Hello Jess, I hope you're well this Sunday morning, as it is with you in the UK. Just coming up to 20 minutes before 11. Community radio for the endurance sport. Just so happens our community is not geographical, it's by the sport. Our transmission area is global, but good to know that the families are tuned in. Richard Westbrook in the Glickenhaus. Had problems yesterday with the shifter on that car, gearbox. Felipe Fernandez in 19th at the moment, but of course leading SPX. They're saving themselves for their 3 hours. And full coverage, of course, of the 50th running of the ADAC Total Energy 24 Hour of the Nürburgring. In a couple of weekends' time, we'll have the full crew on site. Sound and vision for you, all free, no blocks, no breaks. And if you are either today or in a couple of weeks' time slightly bandwidth challenged, or you're moving around, maybe in the car, we don't want you distracted with the pictures, you can take the audio via RS1 from player.radiolemans.co. Actually, just tack that onto your home screen of your smart device, tablet, phone, computer. You can find you can dump it on your home screen, and then you can just click through to it. It'll open up in a separate window. RS1 this weekend, or today rather. So, second lap now for Dan Harper. Coming through, Christian Cronjes has gone through for Valkenhorst. The one is about to go through for the Valkenhorst car. Cronjes gone through 8:08.566. My goodness me. Harper goes through in. Well, there's the 72 car. Now,
hasn't beaten it.
I don't think he has. He's done
he hasn't.
8:09.
Yeah.
So Valkenhorst at the moment on top. So Cronje, but I reckon that's 2 cars underneath the current qualifying lap. So Cronjes, with a couple of purple sectors, has taken it.
Well, you asked me what I thought just before this, John, and I said BMWs. What's interesting was we thought it was going to be really between the BMW junior team. Dan Harper proved that was the case. He really went down to that 8:09, didn't he, quite early on. And, of course, it was Augustus Farfus and Van der Linde in the 2 Rover Racing M4 GT3s, which I thought was going to take the challenge to them then. Luca Ludwig had a slightly different idea in the Octane 126 488 Ferrari, whereupon Krones in the Valkenhorst BMW said, actually, I'll take it, thank you very much.
Ludwig's had a problem on this second lap because in Sector 2, in fact, has he pitted? No, he hasn't. He's got a minute in Sector 2, which should be 40-ish seconds, 41, 42 seconds. So is Frank Stippler. So has there been an issue?
No, he's pitted. It's in Parc Ferme.
Okay, is that's why he slowed down.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, he's done the GP circuit and gone to Parc Ferme.
Yeah, okay. So only Krones then has improved on that second lap for Valkenhorst. BMW, Ferrari, Porsche. Nick Tandy, 8:16 to back up his 8:15. That'll drop him down to 20th in class, 21st overall. Well, waiting for them to come in to where the scrutineering bay is. So that is the grid set then for later on today. We'll be back with full coverage and a bit of build-up as well. Patrick Simon just waiting for the pole sitter to come in. It's a heck of a run, you know, by the 101. Valkenhorst, that's the Yokohama car. So that will start on pole position for the 3-hour race this afternoon. We'll take you through that, of course. Andy Soucek and Sami Matti Trogan will be with us then. Now, if you could talk to those cars, what stories they would tell. Paul Truswell likes to wander out and watch the cars and have a look at them and see what he can glean from them after a long 24-hour race. They are entities in their own right, I think. Reasonable. You've got to treat a car well, it normally looks after you.
They're personalities.
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
It's not just a hunk of metal, it's personalities. You do get attached to them, and sometimes some you sort of love-hate relationships sometimes.
Oh yeah. Some
you really like, some you really don't. But you do talk to them. It is extraordinary. You're going around, you do talk to the car. That's going to sound very strange, but a lot of people will get that.
If you've been away from a car for quite a while and you go back to it, you automatically remember it. It's like meeting an old friend. Yeah. Here's confirmation and pole position for BMW. They've locked out the front row again with Balcon and BMW Junior team, Kronz and Harper. Maybe the dark horse was the prancing horse then, Luca Ludwig, just 0.8 of a second away at the end. The gap's opened up a wee bit, but very tight between the Ferrari and the Porsche in third and fourth position. Then a couple more BMWs. Lamborghini Huracan finding some pace that they didn't have yesterday. Jordan Pepper with Axel Jeffries to get in that car as well. And what about the number 44 Falcon Porsche? 8th position for them. In 9th, Schubert Motorsports BMW. 10th for Scherer Motorsport and the Audi. 11th for Lion Speed Car Collection. And going further down through the field, 12th is the Get Speed Mercedes, the number 3. Walkenhorst, the 102 in 13th. 7th row will be Chris Haase and Audi Sport Car Collection and Scherer Sport with the 16 car. Then Team Bilstein in the 6 car. Then Patrick Pilet for the other Falcon, the 33 Porsche. The Landgraf Mercedes is in 18th. 10th row of the grid, Glickenhaus and TF Sport. That's the Aston Martin GT3. Nick Tandy on row 11 with True Racing. Then KTM, then Schnitzelam AMG. Then Twin Bush Audi, Lion Speed Audi, CP AMG, Walkenhorst BMW. And the 2 cars that didn't set times, well, one we didn't see at all was the Maro Engel, Jules Gounon, Daniel Juncadella Team Get Speed car, the number 4, and the dynamic Porsche off at Vauxhall Puncture didn't set a lap time, 29th and 30th. So, Peter, you were right, BMW's at the front, but the surprise is, I think, probably the 2 mid-engined Italian cars well inside the top 10, 7th, and a super lap from Luca Ludwig in 3rd. But we've seen this Ferrari be quick in flashes before. Can it do it over the course of the 3 hours?
Well, it's more likely to do it over the course of the first few corners. It seems to be its habit of doing this. I wouldn't be at all surprised, depending on who the starting driver is in that 488, wouldn't be at all surprised if they had a lunge against those 2 BMWs ahead for the lead of the race and get out. And once that, don't forget, it did last year, 2021, it did win a round of NLS on the road and was cruelly denied that and taken away afterwards because it had a left rear tyre, would you believe, that was of a compound that wasn't on the admitted list, and that's how it was removed. I don't think it made any difference to its performance. I think it won it fair and square on the road, but unfortunately rules are rules.
Yeah.
And it was out. And it hadn't been, I believe it's a tyre that was allowed to be used, but they hadn't submitted it for that weekend for clearance, therefore it was a technicality. It was basically an administrative error. I mean, how galling is that? So the car has got the pace, as you say, and the Lamborghini, the Conrad Lamborghini, has the pace. But we've said before, Bruce and I, when we've covered this in NLS, John, we've said, if it didn't have bad luck, the Conrad Lamborghini, it wouldn't have any luck at all sometimes. Oh. Sorry to perpetuate that. I really don't want that to be the case. I'd love to see it up there, something a bit different.
I had a long chat with Franz a couple of weekends ago in Spa. He was supposed to be racing in the ADAC Prototype Cup, but he's actually chipped a bone in his elbow. And therefore he couldn't drive. I think Axel Jeffries drove the whole thing on his own. He was very disappointed that he couldn't get in. And he was working there with none other than Ralf Jutzner, ex of Audi and Yost, who tried to tell me and Joe Bradley, who was interviewing him, on I've retired, I'm just here to have a look. Yes, Ralph, we all believe that. Let me tell you what comes up later on. We are, just coming up to 11 o'clock here, 10 minutes before 10 minutes before midday rather, which is 10 minutes before 11 back in the UK. So it is 1:30 for the qualifying race 2. That's when we're on the air, Central European time. That's 12:30 in the UK. So that's about an hour and 40 minutes away. This has all happened rather quicker and more succinctly than we perhaps anticipated. So we just wait for a moment to see if we can get a word with maybe one of the pole sitters. If not, and subject to what our colleagues at TV say for the international feed, we might just be able to wrap up a little bit early with the first ever full entry top qualifying completed. The 101 BMW. Let's go down to the pole sitter and to Patrick Simon, who's with Balcon.
How was that one? It was a crazy one. I can't describe it. It was I was a bit under pressure on the first lap, so I had to try and push for the second one. And yeah, I gave it absolutely everything, and it was really, really tight, but it was just enough to P1. So I'm very happy for us and the team.
Just talk us through what happened in lap 1 that you had to increase the speed for, also beating Augusto's record from just 2 days ago by another tenth.
Yeah, it was just on the line. I mean, the pressures were a bit low on the first lap. It's a bit colder today than yesterday, so it was a bit harder to manage the first lap. So the first half of the lap was not really good. And then for the second lap, the car was really in the window, and I could push, and everything just came together for the second lap. So it was really cool.
Just talk us through the last meters when you see on the dash already that a prediction is green and it seems to be another fast lap. You're counting the last tenths and the last seconds in your head, or how are the last meters before you cross the timing line finally?
I was literally jumping in the seat the whole last straight. You know, like in karting, you jump a little bit to get low.
Out of the corners,
yeah, exactly. So I was just jumping in the seat and hoping for it, and yeah, it worked out. So super happy to finish line and see the time.
Congratulations. Just have a few words about your two team colleagues. I mean, Andy, your Nordschleifen history is not that long, but I think you have quite a strong teammate who can show up how fast the BMW from Balcon is.
Yeah, I mean, Christian always makes us look very good. So we're just standing and watching him, but also learning a lot. I think he's one of the best drivers around the ring. So definitely we have a very strong package. The car is performing at a very high level. The tires also, we feel like we have a good edge on the Yokohamas. And we have a great team behind us with good teammates. So I cannot ask for more. It's my debut, let's say, in the Nordschleife, and to be on pole, it's just a dream come true.
So enjoy the first time. You never will forget the first time you're on the Nordschleife. Sami, you are one of the guys we followed up by DNLS, competing virtual world, now sitting in a proper GT3 car, real life. I mean, it's a dream combination for somebody like you to have such an amazing career from the digital world into the real
Patrick
world.
Simon talking to the Balcon crew. Sami Matti Trogan there, the virtual to reality racer from Finland, and confirmed then a new lap record for this configuration of the track. I'd forgotten, of course, about the top qualifying the other day, but it was even quicker than that. 8:08.566 is the new best mark, and
no, we all tried today as well. So let's see what we can do.
Just to remind ourselves then, 8:08.568 is the new best mark in qualifying. We'll wait to see what the race lap record is. Thanks to Emily and to Patrick Simon down in the pavilion. Peter, some final thoughts from you before we wrap up. This afternoon, we will get another 3-hour race. Yesterday it was won with a 6, then 8, then 7 lap stint. Do you see any reason to change that from the guy front of the guys at the front?
Engine cars, as you said, John, with the Ferrari right up into P3 and the Lamborghini up there as well in P7. Also, BMWs, we said all along that BMWs are strong. This new M4 GT3 car, it's the strongest one at the moment. It seems to be the car of the moment, but good to see one of the other teams that's running it now at the top of the timesheets.
Is that, it's the newest GT3 3 car, and it's built to the expected new regulations. Apparently the manufacturers have seen the new regulations, but nobody else has. The new FIA and ACO GT3 regulations that are coming in a couple of years' time. The BMW is built either to that or close to that. Does it have an inherent advantage by being the new car? Because A, all of the knowledge has gone into it, and B, there's not as much BOP information about it.
I think that's exactly the point. Yes, I mean the M6 outgoing was. I mean, Bruce and I commented on this last year when the M6 was still winning NLS races, and we knew this car was out there. It wasn't running for points. It was running in a sort of prototype experimental category with us, and it was still right up there in front. To say, well, where's the point in developing a whole new car? Well, BOP. It's a world program, isn't it? It's not just about there. It's great to see them on the Nordschleife, but it's a world program for BMW and Porsche, Mercedes, et al. Just the same thing.
Well, we'll see how they get on this afternoon and whether they can back up yesterday's. It was an old BMW front row yesterday, and the BMW Junior team came through to win with a super middle stint.
Willkommen, liebe Zuschauer, zu dem Motorsportspektakel schlechthin.
Zuschauermagnet, guckt euch die Atmosphäre an.
Sensationelle Stimmung in der Eifel. Die Fans sehen wir hier, das Fahrerlager ist voll.
Also wenn du hier nicht aufgeregt bist, dann hast du irgendwas versäumt.
Und lassen wir uns freuen auf 24 Stunden Motorsport vom Allerfeinsten.
Das beste, das tollste Rennen hier in der Eifel mit den besten Fans der Welt. Startgruppe 1, die Veranstaltung läuft!
Ich krieg die Pimpernellen und ihr ärgert euch, wenn ihr nicht angereist seid.
Schau dir diese Bilder an, Jörg. Die hell erleuchtete Grand Prix-Strecke, das Fahrerlager.
Rock and roll.
Die Action, die da passiert, sind die wahnsinnig.
Da regnet's! Schau dir das mal an. Also das ist jetzt mit Slicks nicht zu befahren, was wir da sehen.
Es überschlagen sich wieder einmal die Ereignisse. Wieder einmal wird das 24-Stunden-Rennen am Nürburgring zu einer Mischung zwischen Himmel und Hölle.
Berührung! Berührung! Und beide drehen sich!
Was für ein Finale. Die Sieger sind im Ziel. Überbordende Freude an der Box.